Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Konoha begs Naruto for forgiveness council members. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by LightningHunter and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, Dealings with Death. The world is yet again changing. A long-forgotten power was awoken. And with power comes great danger. The world lies on the brink of death and devastation. And few know this. For things that should have been remembered were forgotten. And things that should have been protected were lost. Some of us believe in fate and destiny, that our lives are ruled out for us. The man who is at the centerfold of this intricate web of destruction does not believe so. These events began many years ago, in the land of fire. The Kyubi no Yoko was sealed into the body of a newborn, preventing its rampage, at the cost of the Yondaime Hokage's life. Yet few villagers heeded his words, and the boy was feared and hated. Creating bonds with people had kept him sane. It was when one of those he was closest to attempted to snap that bond, and he lost his mind. And the village seized this chance, and had him tried under charges of failure, abandoning teammates, and of course, clearly incapable of holding back the powerful demon, and was sentenced to execution. The sky was darkened, surprising for midday. Thunder rumbled angrily, and rain fell indignantly, as if the skies themselves were screaming out at this injustice. And as for the boy, or Naruto's other bonds, they had not even attempted to help him. Naruto sat silently in his cell, awaiting the guards who would take him for his execution. "What a waste," commented the voice of the leader of the disbanded root forces. "Danzo, you could have made such a fine weapon of the leaf." Naruto was silent. "I could save your life, did you know? Simply pledge your power, and take my hand, and join me." Naruto was silent. "I gave you a chance," sneered Danzo, before he left. Heavy drums sounded, and Naruto knew. His time had come. The executioners lead him to the scaffold, and the crowd roared in anticipation, lusting for blood. Any foreign onlooker would not have seen the boy as the demon, yet the people, who seemed to be a creature of many bodies, and their individual faces could not be seen, all loud, mad. The executioner began to taunt Naruto on the scaffold, yet Naruto was unresponsive. Finally, he gave up, ready to perform his task. "Any last words, demon brat?" sneered the executioner. Yet again, Naruto did not respond, and the executioner looked mildly disappointed, most likely thinking that the villagers would have thought it a better show if the brat had pleaded and begged. Naruto had been abandoned by his own village people he had wanted to protect. His cold, empty eyes were visible, yet looked as if they had been painted on for all their emptiness. And no tears leaked from those cold eyes. As cold like the deepest winter nights. His friends had protested the sentence, but done little else. Tsunade was powerful, yes, but had nowhere the political influence her predecessor had had, and was easily overruled. Naruto suddenly broke out of his trance to listen to the executioner's words. "Something we should have done long ago," roared the executioner. "Die!" he screamed, bringing his sword down. "It's true," thought Naruto. "Your life really does flash before your eyes goodbye." And suddenly, the executioner flew back into the crowd, his sword span in the air, before it embedded itself into the ground, threateningly by his head. A giant studded tongue was now wrapped around the blonde ninja. It pulled Naruto up, and its owner was revealed. Gamabunta, Toad Boss Summon. Jiraiya, Toad Hermit, and Summoner. The Toad placed Naruto carefully on his head, and Jiraiya cast a quick examining eye to check his condition, before glaring at the speechless crowd. "Why isn't loyalty rewarded with loyalty?" Jiraiya said to himself, before addressing the crowd. You all disgust me. You have made the greatest mistake you have ever made, and I assure you, you will regret it. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be in a year. It may not be in 6 years, but I assure you you'll regret it. Bunta, let's go. Try to kill one of my subordinates, huh? Growled Gamabunta. Can't we just burn a few buildings down, at Jiraiya? Speed is of the essence. As a ninja of Konoha, you are ordered to hand it over, or face the consequences. Shouted someone, most likely a council member, possibly Koharu. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed. First of all, he has a name. It's Uzumaki Naruto. Second, I don't see why I should also risk my life for this bigoted village. So, I suppose this is like spitting in your face and saying I quit. You wouldn't dare! Shouted another council member, possibly Hamura. Go! Gamabunta launched himself into the air, and landed a great distance away, before hopping away at incredible speed. None of the three would be seen in Konoha for many years. And several days, in a place far away, located in the hidden village of Rain. A man bowed to his leader before saying, they drove the Jinchuriku out. Jiraiya of the Sannin went with him. Interesting focus on capturing the other demons for now. This intrigues me. 7 years passed slowly, and Jiraiya and Naruto had disappeared. They were named at S-rank missing ninja, but were removed due to the fact they vanished completely. The only evidence they still lived, or at least Jiraiya still lived, was because his romance novels still continued, as ever, as if nothing was wrong. Konoha had changed little. A typical day, and Tsunade was seated in the Hokage Tower, assigning missions with Shizen, or more precisely, Shizen assigning the missions, while Tsunade just sat there, itching to visit a bar or casino. She turned away from all the monotony, and gazed out of the windows, and she watched the morning sun and clouds, before she turned her gaze at the Hokage mountain, hoping to avoid acting like Shikamaru. A person cleared their through behind her, and Tsunade turned again to see her assistant standing. "Tsunade-sama, I'm going for my break now," said Shizen. "And no sake," she added, eyeing Tsunade, who looked on the verge of leaving as well. Tsunade grumbled a fair deal about ungrateful apprentices as Shizen left the room, but the door opened again, this time opened by Jounin Team 7, Hatake Kakashi, Haruno Sakura and Uchiha Sasuke, who had returned to the village sometime after the apparent death of Orochimaru. He was hit with several penalties, but as of a year ago, he was free again. "We're here for our mission, Tsunade-sama," said her former apprentice Sakura. Tsunade opened the scrolls for the B rank and higher missions, only to discover there was only one task left, a B rank. "It's the last B rank left," said Tsunade in a clearly bored tone. "Support the ninja growth of the Land of Waves. Risks, possible attacks by raiding ninja, bandits and missing nin." The Uchiha scoffed. "I hardly doubt bandits warrant a B rank mission." "Be quiet, I'm trying to figure that one out myself," snapped Tsunade, as she continued to read the mission scroll, before her eyes noticeably widened. "Something wrong?" asked Kakashi, but more for courtesy's sake than anything. "There have been sightings of a mysterious cloaked man in the area," read Tsunade. "Believed to be the Reaper of Death. Check the last page of any bingo book for further reference." "The Reaper of Death," repeated Kakashi and Sakura, a slight unease growing in them. "The Reaper of Death," also said Sasuke, but a tone of eagerness was in his voice, for people like him crave strong opponents to battle. Tsunade stared down the three. "Do not attempt to attack this person unless in self-defense. The Reaper is a killer like no other. I intend for this mission to have no casualties. Got that?" The three nodded. The journey to the Land of Waves was fairly uneventful, and before long, the three were within view of its blue-tiled rooftops. The Wave, several years ago, had requested aid from the Leaf to convert their small fishing town into a ninja village, as they were now vulnerable to the outside forces they had hidden from. They were now practically an outpost of Konoha, but also a ninja village, as small as the other minor villages, such as Grass or Waterfall, and the Wave wore unusual navy blue outfits and tidal wave designs engraved into their headbands. At a small house, near the outskirts of the village, a cloaked man stood on a doorway, a middle-aged woman in the door. "You have my thanks, Tsunami-san. And tell Inari-kun and Tazuna-san I am sorry I could not say goodbye in person," said the Reaper, and he bowed after his words. "Don't act like such a stranger. You're always welcome here," said Tsunami. The Reaper's white face broke into what appeared to be an attempt at a smile, emotion visible in his cold eyes. "I tried all the time when he was staying here to make him act human, and now he looks like he might cry at the goodbye," thought an exasperated Tsunami, before she said, "Visit again sometime." "Of course," nodded the Reaper, and he reached for the skull-like mask which he put on, before he raised his hood. He raised his right hand, and in a flash of purple light, a scythe appeared. The Reaper attached his weapon to his back, before he vanished into black mist. The team of Konoha had arrived at the final gate. The way the village was structured was very intricate, a gate on both sides of the bridge, and a final gate just before the person got into the village. Kakashi handed over his papers, as well as the mission slip to the guard, who opened a small record book, and he flicked through it until he raised his head to face the three. "Hatake Kakashi, Jounin 34? Uchiha Sasuke, Jounin 20? Haruno Sakura, Medic Nin and Jounin 20? After answering in the affirmative, the guard directed them to the buildings that were the headquarters of the ninja village. As they approached the headquarters, they were unaware of a pair of cold eyes that was fixed on them. Interesting, thought the Reaper. But I was meaning to go back, how nostalgic. As they entered the building, they were immediately hailed by a wave ninja. "Welcome, wait, you guys." It was Inari, the boy now aged to the status of young adult, fully fledged ninja. "Ah, Inari. It's good to see you after all these years," greeted Sakura enthusiastically. "Good to see you all again," he greeted politely. "Curses. Oh well, I suppose he'll already have noticed they've arrived. He probably has a plan already dash." "So, where will be debriefed on our mission?" asked Kakashi. "What?" he said, and he snapped out of his trail of thoughts. "Oh, through that corridor, one floor up and the door to your right." Kakashi thanked him and walked away with his subordinates. Inari carefully turned around to ensure none were watching him, before he disappeared. The Reaper was on the verge of entering a bar, when the wave shinobi appeared by the door. Something wrong? The former asked. They're here, replied the latter. I am aware of it, said the Reaper. And I do not care. You have a family to care for, and a possible spouse. This will not affect anything, I am sure of it. Well, be careful. Hang on, what did you mean about a possible spouse? Demanded Inari, but the Reaper had already entered. Meanwhile, Joun and Team 7 had finished receiving instructions. The younger two of the team would help train some of the village's ninja, while Kakashi would act in active battle duty, mostly patrols. After checking into their rooms at a small hotel near the headquarters, the three unpacked, and began to explore the area, or more precisely, Sakura explored the area, Sasuke looked for signs of the Reaper, and Kakashi just read his favorite book in broad daylight, ignoring, or perhaps oblivious to the shocked gasps and pointing. I wonder where you can find good restaurants around here? Asked Sakura, looking over a small map. Ask around, suggested Kakashi, as he looked up from his book for a few moments. I'm not hungry, said Sasuke. That place looks good, said Sakura, as she noticed a good-sized bar. Does anyone want to come then? Kakashi followed her, perhaps not noticing, his head still stuck in a book, while Sasuke followed reluctantly, muttering about it being a waste of time and pointless. The bar was well lit, but somewhat empty, perhaps due to the fact it was still day. There was only one man at the counter besides the bartender. He wore a black robe, with a hood that masked his face. A gigantic scythe hung on his back. As they approached, he placed some money onto the counter, and swept past them, the three glimpsing into the darkness of the hood, noticing something white. Sasuke whirled around, his face in a twisted grin. That was definitely the Reaper of Death. Sakura immediately paled at the thought of that crazed killer just passing by her. What are we waiting for? Hissed Sasuke. Let's go after him. Kakashi paused. This is not just an ordinary ninja, if that was the Reaper of Death. He's dangerous, far more dangerous than most of the Akatsuki. Sasuke smirked at the older man. True, but our duty is to investigate suspicious characters. So are you coming? He asked, as he left the bar. Kakashi sighed, before nodding at Sakura to follow him. She gulped, and went after the two. The Reaper stole down several alleys, and they followed from the rooftops. Eventually, they were out of the main city, and were now in the forest. Sakura absent-mindedly noticed that this was the same forest that the old Team 7 had practiced tree climbing all those long years ago. The Reaper halted, before turning to confront his pursuers. Are you the Reaper of Death? Asked Sasuke. He did not respond. I asked you a question. Respond, said Sasuke, now louder than before. He raised his head, so the three could see clearly a skull under his hood. On closer inspection, they realized it was not actual bone, but some other material fashioned to look so. His robe was loose from the neck, and they saw the bones of his neck, and visible ribs, before reminding themselves it was fake. The way he looks, thought Sakura, inwardly panicking. I'm sure in battle the bones would look real, and I bet that he's much stronger than any of us three. Yes, Uchiha. I am the Reaper of Death, the Grim Reaper, the wielder of blood and shadow, the final judgment. The three stiffened. They thought him the Reaper, but to hear it from his hoarse voice it was another thing entirely. Sasuke activated his Kekai Genkai, the blood-red eyes of the Sharingan glaring at the Reaper. A green glow appeared around Sakura's hands as she activated her chakra scalpels. And to top it off, Kakashi raised his headband, revealing the Sharingan eye of the deceased Uchiha Obito. Now, I'm sure there's no need for that, said the Reaper, clearly amused. The team froze, but not due to their own actions. Their feet were trapped with pitch-black shadows. A tendril of the shadow lowered Kakashi's headband, while the other two were forced to watch shadows deactivate their chakra scalpels/Sharingan. I have been intended to take a trip to Konohagakure, said the Reaper, releasing the shadows from the ninja's feet. You can allow me passage, I know that. And you shall? Kakashi spat. We would rather die than betray Konoha. Did I say that? No, I said I wished to take a trip. So you want to destroy the village? Demanded Kakashi, his voice firm. As I have said on numerous occasions, usually to those I kill, I admit I only kill those who have not passed the judgment. Admittedly, blood will flow, and it will be Konoha blood when I arrive. Who are you to judge people's lives? Said Sakura angrily. The Reaper sighed. The Reaper of Death is not a mere title. It is my life, my very purpose of existence. To my enemies, I am their judge, jury, and executioner. I do not wish to kill you three, nor have any need to. Stand down. Sasuke very discreetly began to slip into a stance, when suddenly the Reaper appeared in front of them, and punched him hard in the stomach. Kakashi and Sakura made to move, but he whirled around, first uppercutting Kakashi in the chin, before kicking Sakura away. Damn you, hissed Sasuke, crawling up, one hand resting on his stomach. I defeated you without even using my scythe. Now I will make you a proposition, as it were. I am aware of your mission, and that you are staying here for 2 weeks. After you have finished, you will take me to Konoha with you, and let me enter. And if we refuse? Asked Kakashi coldly. Then, most regretfully, I will force my way in. And I assure you, that will ensure even more death. Kakashi's eye widened. He knew the Reaper was strong, but forcibly break into a village on his own. Yet, if he did not agree, he and his team would certainly die. All right. It's a deal. Excellent, said the Reaper. I have some business to attend to, and will meet you outside the village at the end of your mission. And I warn you, those who double-cross me do not live to tell the tale. Ah, you're here, said the hoarse voice behind them, and they spun to see the Reaper, shocked how they did not notice them. Let us go. They found him to be a quiet and logical traveling companion, and mostly did not even notice him. But they were all gripped with a great fear of what would happen once they reached Konoha. Eventually the day came, and they reluctantly let the Reaper into the village. You have my heartfelt thanks, the Reaper said, in a slight mocking tone. Kakashi hissed, this isn't over yet. The three of them body flickered away, clearly so they could alert other ninja. That was foolish, fell Herald, there may be blood for you tonight. Several minutes later, several Jounins appeared, only to see a message written in blood. None can kill the Grim Reaper. The shinobi stared at the message, but were even more shocked as the blood began to trickle away, entirely on its own. It was only a matter of time, when the Reaper not using fatal attacks, it was only expected he would be surrounded. Strangely enough, the Anbu had not yet arrived, but countless Jounin and Chunin were encircling him, with the newfound assistance in the Godame. He looked again, and saw members of the village council accompanying her. As an intruder to Konohagakure, you are ordered to surrender, shouted the Hokage. An intruder? As I believe, I was let in here, before cruelly persecuted in this manner. I believe I should require an apology. Very well then, how about threats and blackmail, as well as not presenting any papers or passport, which is practically an equivalent to sneaking in? The Reaper ignored her. I am the Reaper of Death, he said, firmness in his hoarse voice. I shall never surrender, for I am never defeated. Shinobi, fire! Commanded a Jounin captain. A barrage of weapons flew at him from all sides, and jutsus of fire and earth and air accompanied them. The Reaper lifted his scythe in 2 hands before he was covered by the attacks. That's it, said someone, stunned. The smoke cleared, and all were shocked to see the Reaper stand unharmed in the clearing, while the ground was cracked and darkened. Can I? And see to B-rank ninjutsu? Who do you think I am to be harmed by such insignificant attacks? Said the Reaper before jumping, but the way he jumped, it made it seem like he was flying onto a rooftop, staring down at the ninja. Are you now willing to listen to my war? He was cut off as more powerful attacks this time flew at him, and he sighed, before he disappeared into black mist. He reappeared behind Tsunade, his sickle's blade resting on her shoulder. I have not committed any crime that could have endangered the life of your citizens. I suggest you take firmer control of your village, Hokage-sama, the Reaper said, and he mocked the word sama, in clear disrespect. Farewell then. What did you want when you said you'd come here? Asked Tsunade. I had only intended to ask if I could temporarily join Konoha for about 3 weeks as a mercenary, but the hostile action has forced me to reconsider. Farewell, said the Reaper, seeming to glide away over the ground. If the people had been shocked from what had previously occurred, then now was a completely new level. They were completely flabbergasted. The Reaper of Death, Grim Reaper, Killer Extraordinaire, the man who pledged no alliance, the man who was completely shrouded in fear and rumors had wanted to join their village. Wait. Please reconsider, said another panicky voice, possibly Koharu, an influential person on the council, an old teammate of the Sandaime Hokage. I have made my decision now, said the Reaper. And I have fooled myself into thinking I could atone. Nay, I have yet to forgive this village. And if I join now, I would only bring ruin to all, including myself. Forgive? Asked the Godame, now more relaxed due to the lack of the scythe on her shoulder. What do you mean by forgive this village? Are you a missing ninja? Or she stopped as the Reaper turned around. He sighed before saying, yes. The Reaper first lowered his hood, exposing the great skull-like mask, and then brought his hands to the object. He slipped his finger under his chin, and it seemed to press a button or hidden mechanism somewhere, and the mask revealed hinges on the sides. He removed the mask, letting it fall to the ground. In the silence that had followed, the noise broke all of the people out of their shock. Tsunade simply stared, eyes misty. The Reaper turned his head slightly so everyone could see his drooping blonde hair, his emotionless blue eyes, and the whiskers on his face. And Naruto, Tsunade finally managed. You came back. Naruto picked up his mask and turned away again. I do not expose this face many times now. It seems to be nothing but a reminder. I am not the Uzumaki Naruto you once knew. I take it you still extend your invitation to join? He took her silence as a positive answer. I will consider it. I assure you that whether I chose to be hired or not, I will stay in Konoha for 3 weeks. I have some very important business to attend to, and a new parasite to deal with. Hold on, Tsunade half shouted, as she noticed Naruto was about to leave. You have to apply for citizenship after staying as a missing nin. Very well, said Naruto. I shall arrive to see the council in 2 hours. Ninja council, of course. Meanwhile, from some distance away, Danzo glared down at Naruto. Accursed boy, but there was still hope to salvage the situation, he thought, before signaling his route ANBU to track the Reaper. Little did he know was that Naruto had noticed him from the beginning of the confrontation, and disappeared into black mist. It was unknown where Naruto had got to, or what he was doing, so the Shinobi Council had arrived somewhat early. They were waiting for the missing nin for some time until it was 2 hours on the dot, when Naruto materialized out of black mist in front of their very eyes. He was offered a chair, which he refused, and opted to stand, and he looked at the Shinobi Council, searching the clan heads and influential ninja for familiar faces, which he saw in Tsunade, the clan heads of Aburame, Akimichi, Nara, Yamanaka, Inuzuka, Hyuga, Hataki, and several others. The Shinobi Council is gathered here today for 2 purposes: 1. To either permit or decline the person's application for temporary citizenship, and 2. To hire said person's skills as a mercenary. If person accepts the proposition, temporary citizenship is immediately given. Person, please introduce yourself to the council. Uzumaki Naruto, also known as the Reaper of Death, but also called Grim Reaper. My purpose is to live in Konoha temporarily for 3 weeks, in a group of 5, the other 4 yet to arrive. The other 4? Who are they? Asked Kakashi. Jiraiya, former ninja of this village. 3 others as well, Rin, Itachi and Kisame. Wait, suddenly said Tsunade. Itachi and Kisame? As in Uchiha Itachi, the leaf trader who massacred his clan, before joining Akatsuki? And Hashigaki Kisame, the mist trader, formerly of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, and was guilty of plotting against the government, and being involved in several assassinations, before joining Akatsuki? Naruto nodded. Right on both counts. Save you forgot they are no longer loyal Akatsuki, or at least are not for the moment. Who's run? Asked Sum, head of clan Inuzuka. My daughter. For a split second, Naruto truly wished he had a camera after seeing the faces of the Shinobi Council. You're your daughter? Spluttered a dumbstruck Tsunade. Adopted daughter, to be precise. But Uzumaki Rin is what she is called now, and in all matters my daughter. Shikaki yawned loudly before asking, so, when will your company arrive? Most likely, they will arrive in minutes. I will go to pick them up, while you consider the application. And I will return with them. Good day, honored council members. He stood and turned to go, leaving the council in stunned silence, and it would have remained that way, had it not been from the intervention of the Aburame clan head. Please await a few moments, Naruto, said Shibi. Yes? Hayashi regained his confidence and formality and asked the question. We wish for you to decide to join us. Will you? I said I would consider it, Hyuga-sama. The true reason was simply to help you so I may find some task to do in the boredom of living here. As well as that, I hear that the leaf's relations with the stone is very, very shaky. War approaches, you know that as well as I do. But started Yamanaka and Noichi, but was interrupted by Naruto. I said I would reconsider, and my final decision will be influenced by my company. And how would you consider full-time employment by the leaf? Asked Kakashi. If I did, wouldn't you just try to use me? Asked Naruto, rather bluntly. Besides, I doubt much will happen to me after these 3 weeks. What does that mean? Asked Tsunade. The Reaper was silent, before responding. It is best not to speak of it. Now, good day, he said, as he disappeared into black mist. Oni-chan, is that Konoha? Asked Rin. Yes, replied Itachi. Is Daddy there? Yes. Will you train me when we get there? Can't you ever ask Jiraiya or Kisame something? But Kisame is just a fish-faced freak and Jiraiya is a womanizing Erosenin. The two thundered at the girl to call them by their proper names, also using several threats. Itachi sighed, hoping for some peace and tranquility once he arrived with the 3. Although he knew that was hardly likely, what with the information Naruto had given them. Welcome to Konohagakure. Please state your names, said a board guard. Uchiha Itachi, said Itachi, before he gestured to the others, Hashigaki Kisame, Jiraiya and Uzumaki Rin. The guards widened suddenly as he recognized those names, and his hand slipped into his kunai pouch. Could you repeat that? Uchiha Itachi. The guard quickly pulled out a kunai and charged, but Itachi stopped him with ease by grabbing his throat, and Itachi lifted the guard into the air. You realize I can kill you with ease? The guard nodded, as he struggled frantically, beginning to turn blue in the face. Good, said Itachi, before he hurled the guard into the wall. Inconspicuous, as usual, commented someone, and Naruto came into their view. Ren's face lit up, and with a cry of "Daddy!" she jumped into Naruto's arms. Naruto whirled her in the air slightly before setting her down again. Do we have legitimate applications? Asked Jiraiya, ignoring Ren. We should be returning, said Naruto. Black mist? Please? Plesi? Asked Ren. Naruto smiled slightly, before black mist flowed out of his robes and surrounded the five of them, and when it vanished, they had disappeared. The five reappeared in the council room, the members hurrying to look presentable, as Chuza hurriedly ate his last rice ball, and Kakashi hid his Ika book. Members of the Shinobi Council, we are now in session, said Tsunade, clearly bored with all the legal matters. Daddy, who's that blonde woman? Asked Rin. That is the Godame Hokage, Tsunade, Naruto answered, before giving a brief overview of the woman. She looks about 20, but it's just a genjutsu she's actually old enough to be your grandmother. She also is intolerably lazy, an alcoholic, and has very, very bad gambling skills. Ren giggled slightly at Naruto's description of the Tsunade, who turned her eyes at the small girl. Her hair was black, reaching slightly lower than her shoulders, and her eyes were as bright and blue as Naruto's, or at least, as bright as they had been. She wore an open white coat with a blue trim, and a dark top underneath. She also wore a longish blue skirt and black sandals. Finally, she had an orange scarf wrapped around her shoulders, said scarf shaped like a tail? How do you actually earn income? Asked Kakashi. Mostly by letting Jiraiya write his book. That reminds me, said Jiraiya, scratching his chin. I got your subscription, Kakashi, and here is the new edition, which will be in stores tomorrow. He threw a book over to Kakashi, who eagerly took it and looked very keen to read it. Well, Naruto, will you join us? Asked Tsunade hopefully, as she ignored what appeared to be Kakashi embracing the book. Well? Naruto asked his team. We can't exactly sit around all day, Naruto-sama, said Kisame respectfully. I suppose so, we have to find some way to delay them as well, Naruto replied, before turning back to the Godame. Very well, we accept. All 5 of us will temporarily join your ninja ranks. 5? Even your daughter? Asked Chibi. Rin is only 10, but she is probably Chunin level. Naruto smirked slightly at seeing the council's expressions. As well as that, she also has an ability not seen since the Nidaime Hokage. The Nidaime, do you mean she can use water jutsus without a source of water? Asked an amazed Kakashi. Correct, this time the word was said by Itachi. But then surely, she must be related to the Nidaime? Asked Hayashi. That is correct. She is the only direct descendant of the Nidaime. Is she related to me? Asked Tsunade. Your niece, answered Jiraiya. But the Nidaime never had children, began Hamura. I will explain that some other time, said Naruto. So that's all settled, said Jiraiya. We'll just live. Where are we living? Someone give them the list of properties, said Hayashi. Naruto smirked. Never mind that. I saw a particularly nice mansion which I happened to purchase in those 2 hours. We will start taking mission from tomorrow onwards, he said, before a black mist surrounded the 5 and they vanished. They appeared in front of a hidden mansion, where no one had taken foot in for many years. Welcome to my house, said Naruto to his companions. Daddy, this is your house? Asked Rin. It's huge. Yes, I know, said Naruto. And as you bear the name Uzumaki, the house will be yours once. Rin blinked several times, she stuttered her thanks, but suddenly fainted. Pick her up, instructed Itachi to Kisame. The Shinobi Council had not left, still debating the situation about the Reaper. After all, he was an incredibly powerful person, some said on the level of the Akatsuki leader himself. What are we to do, Godame? Asked Inoichi. He will become a threat if he let him leave, said Chuza. Kakashi laughed, and all the council members stared at him. He became a threat the second you sentenced him to execution. He's not going to forgive you for what you did to him. Perhaps we could get to him through the girl, began Danzo. Don't be ridiculous, scoffed Kakashi. That would surely result in him attacking us. Taking a hostage is an appallingly bad idea. Danzo's one eye narrowed. Surely you cannot believe he is strong enough to defeat this entire village, Hataki. True, but he has the aid of 3 other S-class ninja, said Shibi. He stood against all those attacks earlier, and was unharmed, said Tsunade. I would not like to see him fight us with his maximum skill. But there is a slight point, said Hayashi. Everyone looked at him. The boy will remain with those close to him, friends, family. True, said Kakashi, picking up his new Ika book and opening it. And he has all that with him. Chapter 2, Settling in the Leaves. It was around the late morning, in the grounds located next to a mansion that had been empty for several years, till the day before, when 5 very unusual characters moved in. Water release, water dragon blast jutsu, yelled Rin, finishing her seals, as a serpent-like dragon made of water flew out of thin air, and Naruto, who simply smiled mockingly, and cut through the dragon with his scythe. Rin gritted her teeth and flew through another series of seals, and cried out water release, water shark missile jutsu. Water materialized from thin air, and formed the shape of a shark and fired towards Naruto, who once again cut through the attack. Go water release, water fang bullet, Rin shouted, as the water spun around Naruto, forming a circle of water spikes around him. Naruto spun around with lightning speed, scythe in the air, demolishing the spikes. Daddy? That's cheating. How am I supposed to stand a chance if you just cut through all my attacks? Grumbled Ren, before quickly swallowing a soldier pill. Naruto sighed, yet there was a slight smirk on his face. During these spars, I'm not your father, but your opponent. And an opponent does not go easy on you. Water clone jutsu, shouted Ren, forming about 20 clones from water. As each clone only has a tenth of your original strength, this means it will be like fighting only 3 of you. But now Naruto vanished, and then appeared a few seconds later with all of the water clones dispelled. Shadow clone jutsu. Shadow clones Ren? But it won't be enough with just 10 clones, said Naruto before he vanished and reappeared with all the shadow clones dispelled. What jutsu are you using to take out my clones? Demanded Ren. I'm simply moving very fast, Ren, and it ends, he said before bursting into smoke. Ren froze, and suddenly the earth crumbled by her feet, and she was unsure of what happened next, apart from her getting stuck in the ground, buried up to her neck. Hey! You can't just bury me here. Let me out! She yelled, trying to wriggle in her earth prison. Naruto looked bored, and lowered himself so Rin could see him better. That was pathetic. All those powerful techniques beaten so easily, and such a simple combination practically destroyed you. Let him Ijio! Rin screamed. Or I am going to kill you. Naruto put his hand on his chin, and he assumed a mock-thinking pose. But Rin-chan, how is it possible for you to kill me when you are rooted underground? Are you going to bite me to death? Rin glared at him, and Naruto smiled thinly, before leaning forward and pulling her out of the ground. The girl looked on the verge of attacking Naruto, but he took the opportunity to point out she had said she'd kill him if he didn't let her go, and he did, leaving Rin fuming. Suddenly, Kakashi materialized out of the air, his hand in a greeting gesture. Why are you here? Asked Naruto coldly. I have a message, answered Kakashi. Why were you chosen to send it? Kakashi did not reply, but passed on his message. Naruto, the Shinobi Council has something to talk to you about. Probably something to do with your contract. Naruto reached for his scythe, which he attached to his back. He then placed on his mask, before raising his hood, his voice sounding hoarse and tired as ever. Understood. If you would, train Rin in my absence. Consider it atoning for never training me as a child. I get this old scarecrow to train me? Have you gone out of your mind, Dad? Shouted Rin. Oh, too much like how you used to be. Hyperactive, loud, commented Kakashi, and the small girl swelled up indignantly. And by the way, there was a leak. A what? Said Rin. Who found out what? Asked the Reaper. In the Shinobi Council. Tsunade is still investigating, but now everyone knows everything what happened. What do you mean by everything? Everything as in everything. Your daughter's ancestry, your companions, your title and status. Naruto remained silent, his mouth opening to speak, but closed again, unnoticed due to the mask and hood. I will leave. Naruto, Kakashi's voice broke him out of his trance. What's up with that hourglass? Naruto noticed Kakashi was talking about the hourglass that hung from a chain from the gray rope-like belt that secured his black robe. It symbolizes something. Oh, I was just wondering, because there's some red hair tied around it. Naruto disappeared, black mist trailing lazily in the air where he had been. This time, the Shinobi Council looked expectant, and Naruto correctly assumed they had expected him arriving suddenly in black mist, like the previous meeting. I take it this council has not gathered to issue me a mission, he said lightly. I hope this has not to do with my contract. His voice was light and pleasant, or as pleasant it could be, but his gaze was fixed upon the people, in an intimidating manner. The Shinobi Council of Konoha has reasons for you to increase your time of hire on the contract. And why should this concern me, or are you confirming the rumors I told you yesterday? Tsunade sighed, before giving her answer. In the meantime, Kakashi was questioning Ren, to gain more intelligence on her skills and intentions. Are you still sure that you want to focus on learning more water jutsus? Wouldn't you? Hey! I want to be a water specialist, said Rin decisively. Right, so what jutsu do you know, not just water jutsus? Water clones, shadow clones, started Ren, before continuing. Water prison, water dragon, water fang bullet, and the water shark missile. Oh, and Daddy and Aerosenin are going to teach me Rasengan soon. Kakashi blinked. How do you have so much chakra to pull of those jutsus? Ren giggled nervously, as she scratched the back of her head. Well, Daddy says my chakra reserves are naturally large, and well, I have a lot of soldier pills. But they taste nasty. Yeah, shuddered Kakashi. Yeah, I know how they taste. Well then, I know 2 water techniques that you'll find useful. The water encampment wall, which is one of the few defensive Suiton jutsu, and Great Waterfall, which is one of the most powerful Suiton jutsu out there. Hurry up then. Train me, shouted Ren enthusiastically. Too much like Naruto as a kid, thought Kakashi. Damn, what have I got myself into? There's Cyclopes-sensei? Cyclopes-sensei? Asked Ren, waving her hand in front of Kakashi's face, which was a hard task for her, considering Kakashi was much taller than her. Oh yeah, watch these seals. Water encampment wall, said Kakashi, demonstrating the jutsu with water from a nearby pond in the grounds. Ren nodded, and he continued. The water encampment wall is a B-rank defensive move. And of course, the best way to practice it is to attack it. I'm going to attack you with another jutsu while you block it. But Cyclopes-sensei, I haven't had a chance to practice it yet, stammered Ren. You can't handle it, what a pity. Naruto could always get down jutsu so quickly, but if you can't handle it. Hey, what am I supposed to be? Chopped liver? I'll master this jutsu in just half an hour. Come on, you Cyclopes idiot. Ren began to flick through hand seals, and Kakashi grinned under his mask, his eye forming a U shape as he performed his own seals. Ah, so your spies have confirmed that IWA are preparing for a war. And you want me to aid you. But I cannot extend my time, I assure you, and I am sure that some of you, his voice dangerously quiet at this point, will not hesitate to abuse what power you hold over me by sending me on suicide missions. Please, do not underestimate my abilities like this. What else have you brought me here for? How did you become the Reaper of Death? Asked Hayashi. I refuse to answer. Next point. What missions do you request for you and your company? Asked the Godame. Anything from B-ranked and upwards, said Naruto. I prefer working alone, and Jiraiya, Kisame and Itachi are capable of working in a group. Ren can join a team of either Genin or Chunin. Any more ridiculous questions? The council were divided, some silent, some muttering amongst themselves, some offended due to Naruto's blatant bluntness and rudeness. Finally, Kohara interrupted the mutterings. How is this Ren descended from the Night Aim? Naruto looked around the room, seeing expectant faces. He sighed quietly, before starting his answer. The Shodame Hokage had family. But little attacks, or assassinations, or kidnappings ever took place. Do you know why? They were too well guarded, and the benefits were not enough for the risks. But imagine what would have occurred if it was revealed his brother also had children. They would have been far more willing to go after them, filled in Tsunade. Correct. He came to the conclusion that they would be safer outside the village, outside the entire country. He moved them to the land of the river. He could rarely visit them, being a Hokage. And he died not revealing this secret, and his descendants remained in river country. The council began muttering amongst themselves again, when the Hyuga clan head spoke up. That has not explained how Ren has his famed ability. A repressive gene, answered Naruto, before continuing his statement for the benefit of those not learned in human biology. They all have the gene, even the Godame has the gene to control plants, but the chances of this gene becoming dominant is incredibly rare, perhaps 1 in a million. Pure luck, to be precise. How did you meet her? Asked the Hokage, interested in the life of her niece. There was an Akatsuki base at one time in the river country. I was only heading there to find some clue, or members residing there, attempting to gain knowledge on how to avoid the Akatsuki leader. You know him? Asked Sum. I have never met him. But I know enough of him, and he is not a person I would like to cross in battle. Is he stronger than you? Asked Hamura. At the time, yes, he certainly was. Now I am unsure. But Jiraiya was not with me at the time, we quite regularly part ways and Itachi and Kisame had not joined me yet. I had already become the Reaper of Death. It was 5 years ago. Naruto gazed at the collapsed rock cliffs, looking more like a place affected by a landslide than anything else. But he knew that this old rock face had once been a base to the Akatsuki. Empty, he thought. Dead end. I would have done better to lie low for the time being, what with the leader of Akatsuki searching more openly for me. He turned away, preparing to leave, when he saw a flock of crows gather in the distance, over a place where smoke was rising from. Intrigued, Naruto moved to find this place. What he found was chaos. A burning village, screaming citizens, bloodthirsty raiders, roaring, killing, committing atrocities. Some regained enough intelligence to actually rob, and herd away people as slaves to sell or keep. Disgusted, Naruto reached for his sickle, when a woman collided with him, her clothes stained with crimson mud, and her eyes streaked with tears. "You are a shinobi, aren't you? Please help my husband, he can't find them all on his own," pleaded the woman. Naruto gazed at her, before the two disappeared in black mist, to the front line, as it were, where one man, perhaps an ex-ninja, stood alone against the hordes of crazed bandits. He turned to see his wife rush towards him, and he opened his mouth, but did not speak, as he was finally hit in this moment of distraction. The man collapsed to the ground, and his wife grabbed his body, desperately begging the man to live. And in this vulnerability, she was slashed across the chest. "Two-san? Kachin?" said a small voice, and Naruto saw a small girl, perhaps 5 or 6, in the doorway, her terrified eyes resting on the sight of her parents. Naruto strode forward, meeting the bandits full on. They laughed at his appearance, 1 against hundreds. Naruto let them, as he knew they did not notice the blood flow away from him and rise into the air. "I shall bring a judgment upon thy sins. Thou penance shall be in death." He then jeered at them and pointed to the air, and confused, the bandits did so. Only then did they notice the needles of poisoned blood fly down on them. "Burn! Burn in eternal flames, wretched souls!" the Reaper screamed. And several seconds later, the raiders were now amongst the deceased. The Reaper walked to the two ninja, lowering his hood and removing his mask. Who are you?" choked the man, coughing blood. It was clear he was not long for life. "I am the Reaper of Death. I am the Grim Reaper." Then who are you?" asked the man again. "Naruto Uzumaki Naruto." "The former ninja from Konoha?" he asked. "Two-san. Kachin," said the small girl, running to her dying parents. "I am the Nidaime Hokage's grandson," coughed the man, ignoring his daughter and the shock on Naruto's face. Here. The man reached deep into his pockets, before retrieving a worn scroll. That will explain all." "Why are you talking like that?" asked the girl, begging for an explanation. "Why are you two covered in blood?" The parents turned to the girl, their eyes shining with affection, and a bitter sense of knowing they could no longer be with this treasure of theirs. "Goodbye, Run," whispered the man. "I'm sorry I have to leave you like this." "Ren-chan," said the woman, struggling for every breath. "Goodbye, I'm sore." The voices stilled, and the two slumped to the ground, corpses. Naruto reached forward and gently shut their eyes. "Kachin, Two-san, stop playing games. Wake up." Naruto turned to Rin, looking expectant at her parents, yet he could tell deep inside she knew what had happened, but was unable to accept it. If she survived this emotional ordeal, she would be changed drastically. "I said wake up now." There was no response. "Wake up!" screamed Rin, her eyes glittering with tears. Naruto turned to the girl. "Rin. They're gone. They won't ever wake up now." How could he, a killer, break the news gently to her? When she was but fooling herself? How could he? "It's not true!" screamed Rin wildly. "You're lying to me. They're fine, they." "I'm sorry," said Naruto quickly, before tapping a point on her neck, and the girl collapsed. He lifted her in both arms, and directed the villagers to arrange funerals for the dearly departed. Then the Reaper left, death trailing behind him, but now life was with him. Rin woke up soon after. I explained as well as I could. She wanted to return to her village, but gave in, knowing there was nothing left for her. Eventually, she saw me as a father figure, but she has never called me Two-san like her actual father. I adopted her soon after, and she has always been with me, but I often am forced to leave her behind, reluctant to take her on tasks or hunts. The Reaper looked up, receiving stunned and shocked looks. Tsunade cleared her throat. "I think that is all. Uzumaki Naruto, you may leave." Naruto bowed, before disappearing in black mist. "Water release, great waterfall jutsu!" yelled Rin. A wave formed again, but nowhere large enough. Kakashi turned from his book to examine the result. "It's about a quarter of the correct size. Try again, and put more chakra into it. Although, it doesn't surprise me. The only hope of you getting it perfect at this age is in a period of extreme emotion, or a real chakra boost." Rin grumbled about a certain silver-haired Cyclops bastard who couldn't explain things properly from the beginning. Jiraiya, Kisame and Itachi were currently standing on the Hokage mountain, Itachi standing on the Shodame's head, Kisame on the Nidaime's head, and Jiraiya sitting on the Sandaime's head. "What do you two expect?" asked Jiraiya, looking at his companions. "My mind is in turmoil. I can make no logical answer," answered Itachi. "And illogical?" "Illogical?" asked Itachi. "Then I can hope for good." You know our duty, Itachi, said Kisame. And that is to stick with Naruto-sama until he releases us. True, said Itachi. But I wonder. Yes? Asked Jiraiya. We can know what to expect from other villages, but Konoha is intriguing me. They only see us and Naruto-sama as a threat, said Kisame gruffly. We should have stayed 3 days before finding a place where the Akatsuki can't reach us, for what will occur. And you know what will occur. Yes, I know, Kisame, said Itachi. But to Konoha, surely then, they will either try to get us to join them or they will attempt to have us killed. What do you think Naruto wants? Asked Jiraiya quietly. Naruto's mind is constantly in conflict. Yet I think I know what he may want, said Itachi. So what does he want, Itachi, said Kisame. Naruto's mind, as I said, is in conflict. Although what I know will not change is his protection for those who are precious to him. He also will always wish to see Rin have and complete her dreams. Another part of him wishes for revenge upon Konoha for all of what it has done to him, and how it destroyed his hopes, happiness, and dreams. Of course, it is also possible that he still has his old dream of becoming the Hokage. I can't see Naruto protect people who think him a demon, and would like no more for him to die. What I really don't understand is why Sarutobi-sensei didn't punish the villagers when they just put down Naruto. The Sandaime was a sophist, said Kisame. He once had the chance to kill Orochimaru, but didn't, and that mistake cost his life, as well as the lives of many Leaf Ninja. True, said Itachi. But the real question is, what will Naruto choose? The real question is, has Naruto-sama prepared for the encounter? Asked Kisame. At the end of 3 weeks, Naruto swore to release us. Freedom, Kisame. And Naruto has become a person that is hard to imagine losing. And that encounter. Naruto was currently walking down the Konoha roads with Ren. The villagers and ninja were not throwing the old hateful glares, but rather fearful looks, before quickly muttering amongst themselves. Or at least some were, but many were not, trying to ignore him, but the mutterings of those who hated him rose clearer than any idle conversation. Some say he's more powerful than anyone else alive. Have you heard how many people he's killed? I knew he was a demon. He thinks he can judge people's lives. Naruto was not concerned by the people's mutterings. It was quiet enough so Rin couldn't hear it. He didn't intend on doing anything, but if they attacked him, justice would be swift. By this reasoning, no one should have got hurt. Until a group of 5 ninjas started whispering. He's got the Nidaime's descendant. He's probably trying to steal her abilities or use her as his slave. The bastard probably rapes her for his damn sick pleasure. The man got no further as a huge amount of killer intent was emanating from Naruto. The people froze. Naruto quickly disappeared in black mist and reappeared in the midst of the group, his scythe raised. Insulting me is one thing, but you insult those I care for. And I remember your faces. You are amongst those in that front row at that attempted execution. And criminals do not decrease their crimes. I shall bring a judgment upon thy sins. Thou penance shalt be in death. The scythe was on the verge of swinging, when an ANBU team appeared. Uzumaki Naruto, you are refrained from. The Reaper is not to be stopped. He hissed. One of the ANBU was on the verge of answering, when the ninja in the group that had insulted him and Rin ran out of the scythe's range and threw their shuriken at Naruto and Rin. The two easily avoided the meager attacks, but Naruto's rage was intensified by the attempts to kill Rin. His killer intent formed a dark aura, which forced the ninja to stumble to their knees, and the Reaper lifted the sickle. Burn! Burn in eternal, wretched souls! Screamed Naruto, beheading the ninja, blood spurting from the cut artery, before the heart stopped beating and the blood flow stemmed. After all, blood does not flow long from corpses. All the onlookers were too stunned with what just occurred, and several villagers threw up at the sight of the blood, and the severed artery and windpipe poking out of the necks. Suddenly, the bodies began to burn. Naruto? What the hell? Finally managed the Godame Hokage, alerted by the ANBU. Naruto turned to face her, and Tsunade backed down at the sight of the skull mask. These wretches attempted to kill Rin. They received their judgment. But this. Silence, commanded Naruto, and the Hokage felt herself go quiet at Naruto's empty voice. When I judge them, I look into their tainted beings. I am justified. But this won't exactly help your image in people's eyes. The Reaper turned away. I care not. Come, Rin. It was a warm evening, and several ninja were out for a drink, and making idle conversations. It was idle as such, until one topic strayed to another, and before anyone knew it, they were discussing the Reaper of Death. And then the ANBU squad arrived, and tried to stop him, but then the ninja tried to kill Naruto and his daughter, narrated Tenten, her voice rising as she related the day's events. What happened? Said Shikamaru. Did they succeed in killing his daughter? If such an act occurred, Naruto's vengeance would be swift and deadly. Huh! said Sakura. Why did you ask about his daughter, but not Naruto? Shikamaru sighed. Obviously they couldn't have killed Naruto, when countless attacks hit him yesterday, but he stood unharmed. They didn't kill his daughter, interrupted Tenten, eager to continue the story. But Naruto, well, he gave a whole new meaning to the phrase pissed off. His killer intent must have tripled, and then he beheaded the lot of them. And they just burned up. The others leaned forwards, clearly taken aback by the brutality. Naruto, loud-mouthed, ramen-loving, hell-raising, knucklehead and unpredictable idiot, was truly this monster. This creature that killed like second nature? What had happened to Naruto, to transform him into this grim reaper? It was clear the Reaper of Death was not the Naruto they all once knew. Was he even the same person? Was he some kind of foreign presence, like Kyuubi, or some kind of crazed split personality? Are you sure? asked Hinata. Tenten nodded grimly. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. It was really gruesome. I almost vomited. Chuji gulped. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear, he said gravely, as he lowered his snack and nearly empty glass. They turned to face the Reaper of Death, standing in the doorway. He strode, in a way that made it seem like he glided over the floor to the counter, and ordered a drink, seemingly unaware of the entire eyes in the bar now directed at him. The Reaper sat himself at the bar stool, leaning slightly on the counter, giving all a good view of the huge scythe attached to his back. The rookie ate, and sat closest to the counter saw the words Fell Herald engraved onto the sickle. Hey Naruto, said Shikamaru. Join us over here. Naruto collected his drink, turned to the ninja, and sat himself at their table, leaning slightly back. Naruto sipped at his drink, clearly waiting for someone to make the first stab at conversation. So Naruto, how's life been? asked Kiba. Reasonable. Done anything interesting lately? asked Sakura. I killed over 100 people in an hour a month ago, answered the Reaper, and the others at the table shuddered. Naruto-kun, I feel your flames of youth are burning brighter with your big heart in adopting a daughter, shouted Lee, almost jumping out of his chair. Sit down, Lee. Lee, looking embarrassed, sat himself, feeling as if he was a 7-year-old just reprimanded by a parent in front of his friends. Naruto, have you enjoyed your life away from Konoha? asked the stoic Neji. Naruto merely sipped at his drink again. Do you want to actually talk? asked Kiba, impatient as usual. Not particularly, Kiba, replied the Reaper. Now Naruto, how about you tell us of your adventures when you were gone? asked Sakura. What is there to say? His hoarse voice asked. Why is Itachi with you? asked Sasuke, anger barely concealed. I'll tell you. Sasuke blinked, unsure how to react, and Naruto took his silence as a sign to begin his story. It is a warm day, and the sun beats down on us. It does little to calm Rin down, and she stamps and shouts, angry with previous events. This is outrageous. Rin shouts, furious. Why won't they teach me a Swate Unjutsu? They are not willingly going to surrender their prized jutsu to outsiders, Rin-chan, I placate, slightly irritated by the noise. Jiraiya freezes. Someone's here. 2 of them. Akatsuki? Show yourself, I command. Yes, my presumption is correct. The 2 figures are the first Akatsuki members I had the pleasure of meeting, Uchiha Itachi and Hashigaki Kisame. Powerful ninja, and unlike most 2-man teams in the Akatsuki, the 2 are capable of working together without arguing. Itachi approaches, his 3-tomo Sharingan glinting. Uzumaki Naruto. Also known as the Reaper or Death, Grim Reaper Death. Our organization wishes to meet with you. He recites his words in a stoic and bored manner, as if he is uninterested. But who knows what is happening in his head? Jiraiya grins. Nice try, kids, but you don't stand a chance against the 2 of us. I was already prepared now, said Itachi, and Jiraiya collapses, weakened. We have been following for some time, and poisoned his sake yesterday with a strength-reducing potion. Dad? Daddy? asked Rin, tugging on my robe. Why does the blue man look like a big fish shark, and are those gills real? Kisame snarls. They are real, and did she just call you her dad? Itachi's mouth looks on the verge of curling into a smile, and I see why. Rin is just a bargaining chip, and sure enough. Uzumaki Naruto, if you do not wish to see your daughter hurt, I would suggest you surrender. I am silent, and I simply reach for the scythe attached to my back, which I point at the Akatsuki duo. They prepare themselves, Kisame unwraps his samahata, and both cast away their hats. I raise shadows, and conceal Ren and Jiraiya in a dome of shadow. I can hear Ren's indignant cries, but she cannot help me. I must be fast. I sprint forwards, at Kisame first, and he jumps at me, and Samahata meets the fell herald. A smirk appears on my concealed face, and I disintegrate into black mist, and channel myself through the dimension of shadow, reappearing in a black rift behind Kisame. I burst out, but Kisame is still a skilled warrior, and he parries the blow instantly. Again I disappear, now reappearing over him, and slashing downwards. Kisame leaps back, avoiding being cut into two. What power is this of the Reaper? Asked Itachi. I raise my right hand, and prepare the shadows. Darkness release, imprisoned jutsu. The shadows of the nearby land features, trees, burst forward, wrapping around Itachi and Kisame's legs. They surge up, and form a cage around the two, now releasing the legs. What the started Kisame, swinging Samahata at the bars, but to see it repel. Itachi's eyes begin to change, and I quickly lower my gaze, focusing at their feet. A second later, the cage has been blown open, but Itachi looks weakened, no doubt due to the high amount required for such a powerful and terrible jutsu. Kisame leaps at me, and I see an opening. He receives a swipe from the blunt edge of the fell herald, and flies back as fast as he came. I lunge at Itachi, who has not yet recovered, and his eyes empty of the Sharingan widen, now knowing that death was imminent. Naruto drained the rest of his drink, and walked away to the counter, where he left the glass and paid his bill. What the hell? Said Kiba. You didn't even finish the story. Figure it out yourself. Why are you so bitter to us, Naruto? Demanded Ino. Cold killer intent seeped through the air, and the Reaper turned to face the ninja. Why? Because you sicken me. What? Said Sakura. Sicken you? After 7 years, 7 long years, I had to live with this pain of knowing that the people I called friends could not even try to help me. And, after these long years, I thought you might change. But none of you have. It's always me, isn't it? I have to suffer, just so people like you can lead their comfortable lives, said Naruto, his voice as cold as a black winter's night. He left the still shocked ninja and strode out of the bar, only to hear footsteps. How strong are you? Said a voice. Of course, Sasuke. Stronger than you, replied Naruto. Sasuke narrowed his eyes, and Shikamaru and Shino appeared behind him. Stop it, Sasuke, said Shikamaru, sounding bored, but also a hint of warning in his tone. Naruto started Shino. Your chakra. What of it? My bugs say that it is not malicious nor demonic. It is calming and yet invigorating. But it is also mixed with other kinds of chakra, one of justice and darkness, and a hint of something evil. What is the Reaper of Death? You will see. This struggle that awaits. The Reaper of Death. There is more to this story. Naruto leapt into the air, gliding along with the wind, before vanishing over several rooftops. Another sunny morning in Konoha. Nothing could have hinted to the bloodshed of several ninja yesterday. The Godame Hokage sighed. If the rumors were true, frankly she needed all the ninja she could muster. Quite honestly, she'd prefer it if they died in the battlefield, where they could at least be useful. She pushed the heavy doors forward, and entered the council room. The council had, as a matter of fact, been cut down for the war council, which was made entirely from influential ninja. The second she entered, she was bombarded with several plans to get Naruto to remain in Konoha permanently, before one in particular landed. What? She half shouted, dumbfounded. That's just ridiculous. Chapter 3, Danger for All. An alarm clock started ringing annoyingly, but suddenly a hand lashed out and grabbed the offending item. Cursed clock! Shouted Ren. Suffer my judgment! She shouted, as he hurled the accursed object at the floor. She yawned, before realizing that she had been talking about judgment. She chalked it up to being around her daddy too long, before she started to get dressed in her usual fashion. Less than 10 minutes later, Ren was stumbling downstairs, where in the kitchen Kisame was now enjoying a large breakfast undisturbed. Sadly, Ren entered the kitchen at that point. Fishy face, she said brightly. Where's Daddy and Oni-chan? She asked. Kisame grumbled a fair deal on how lucky Ren was that she was under Naruto's protection, before telling Ren to refrain from calling him that, in not so polite words. I'll stop calling you that when you get plastic surgery or something, said Ren, as she found a pot of instant ramen. They're with the Hokage, said Kisame, before he returned to his breakfast. Where's Ero-sennin? Where do you think? The bathhouse, dirty pervert. The mission room was beginning to empty, as ninja teams finished collecting their missions. Tsunade was in conversation with Hamiara and Koharu. A better term than conversation would be argument, clearly over the missions Naruto was to take. The latter two were arguing that they should use the mercenary to his maximum, in other words, help defeat and conquer IWA. The former was arguing that Naruto was not to be used as a tool, and as such, would be defending Konoha, rather than attacking IWA. I am standing here, and Naruto's voice broke in on them. They turned, and realized the room was now empty, save them, Naruto, and Itachi, who stood in the shadows. Our missions? Asked Naruto. Yes, Tsunade fumbled for some scrolls and forms. Ren is going to be assigned to a Chunin team, led by Kurenai and Shino. As you're her guardian, you'll have to sign these. Naruto tiredly took a pen and began to sign the forms, mostly having to just write his and Ren's name over and over again. He finished and handed the papers back to the Godame. And my mission? Is very important, continued Tsunade. It's more of a 2-in-1 mission. Shizen approached the two and placed a few maps onto the desk, which Tsunade unfurled, and revealed a map of IWA and the southeastern IWA border. She pointed to several villages marked with red. These villages are more outposts, and likely places for the forces to pass through. We have sent spies into all these villages, but most of them were caught. I see. This village is the only one left with any living spies in. There are two there, one will pass on information, the other is to receive orders. If either are caught, aid their return to Konoha, said the Godame. Understood, replied Naruto. How will we identify these spies? Tsunade handed over 2 photos, a scroll to pass on orders, and finally the password. The will of fire is burning brighter than ever. Naruto and Itachi left the building, heading towards the bathhouse to collect Jiraiya, and to the mansion to pick up Kisame and inform Ren of her team. From a rooftop, the head of Root watched, scheming, manipulating, and gathering his own information. Having fun? Asked Kakashi, suddenly as he appeared behind the man. Hatake? What the hell do you want? Said Danzo coldly. I'm here to warn you. From Uzumaki? I'm delivering my own message, responded Kakashi. I'm saying for everyone's good, you stay away from Naruto and his friends. You will not resist, so by the time Naruto leaves Konoha, we'll be lacking a former head of Root. Danzo snarled at Kakashi, but did not speak. Full of anger, Danzo left the former ANBU captain, heading straight to his Root headquarters. He silently made an oath to either use the Reaper's powers, or to find a way to destroy the Reaper of Death. Naruto and his company had left for the IWA border. It was usually several days' travel, but with them, they could possibly return by evening, if they did not make any side stops. Ren, informed of her team, was now on her way to a bridge where she could meet her new team. They too were informed of their new member, and were still discussing her as she arrived. A girl, right? Asked Konohamaru, grinning like a hyena. Kurenai sighed. Kiba had been bad enough, but Konohamaru was even worse. She is a girl, but she's 10 years old. Not your type. Konohamaru's grin faded as quickly as it had appeared, and he began to mutter under his breath, about a certain Kunoichi's type being cigarette lovers. What's her name? Asked Moegi politely. Uzumaki Rin, replied Shino, awaiting a response. He wasn't disappointed. Did you just say Uzumaki? Said Idan. Uzumaki, as in being the adopted daughter of Uzumaki Naruto, replied Kurenai. Is that her? Asked Konohamaru. Hello? Shouted the small girl enthusiastically. I'm Uzumaki Rin. Abirame Shino, stated Shino. Refer to me as Taicho or Sensei. Okay, Buggy Sensei. Shino's eyebrow twitched with annoyance and Konohamaru sniggered under his breath. Shino continued on. This is my fellow team leader, Yuhi Kurenai, who is also to be referred to as Taicho or Sensei. Your fellow Chunin are Konohamaru, Moegi, Udan, and Hanabi. Heh, they don't look too tough, grinned Ren. I bet I could take any one of them down. Konohamaru looked furious at the thought of him being beaten by a 10-year-old, but it was the Hyuga that got the word in first. Do not underestimate or insult the Hyuga, said Hanabi coldly, eyes narrowed as she glared at Ren. Hyuga? Ren asked herself. Oh, aren't they like really arrogant? I once heard Ero-Senin say that they all have sticks up there. Our mission, Kurenai cut in. It is a C, possibly B-rank mission. We are to travel to a village on the outskirts of the Fire Country, but it is not too far away, so we should return by at least nightfall, if all goes well. Since we are in preparations for war, less patrols are sent out, and villages are more at risk from bandits and raiders, possibly missing Nin Ren? Ren was silent, frozen. Her fists were clenched, but she seemed to be subconsciously shaking. Kurenai suddenly remembered the story she had heard, of how Naruto found Ren, and it instantly explained Ren's behavior. Ren, if you don't want, Kurenai started to speak as she lowered herself to Ren's height. Don't want what? Said Ren innocently. What makes you think I wouldn't do this mission or something? Her eyes shone with a new blaze, one of strength and determination. The pain of losing those you loved, it was a pain she would not see other people feel. Ninja of Root, said Danzo cruelly. Ninja of Root, that is the true anchor that guards the leaves. The foolish antics of the Hokage mean she believes that the Reaper of Death will not harm Konoha. But our mission, it will ensure he does not. The Root shivered in fear. Even they did not want to cross the Reaper of Death, someone so powerful that ninja were told to flee if they ever met him. Yet they could not go against their leader. Itachi, Kisame, Naruto, and Jiraiya were currently traveling with all speed towards the IWA border, and were making good progress, mostly because they weren't actually running, but sitting on a toad Jiraiya had summoned. Hey, should we disguise our identities or not? Jiraiya asked Naruto, but Itachi responded. If any ninja would see us, they would be terrified. Only the most arrogant or foolish ones would attack. I see no need, said Itachi. What if the Tsuchikage used this as an attempt to declare war? Asked Jiraiya. Then there might be some trouble. We're not part of any village, Konoha is paying for our services, grinned Kisame. Besides, they'd run to their mums if they found out that the infamous Reaper of Death was serving Konoha. Naruto smirked slightly at Kisame's words, but it was more from amusement than conceit. He reached for his skull mask and put it on, before raising his hood. With our present speed, we should reach the border fairly soon. Once we are in viewing distance of the border, we go on foot. An hour later, a certain shinobi team had arrived at a village, the Jounin leaders conversing with the chief, the Chunin save one grumbling about not being able to have any side stops, and the exception, a Hyuga, scowling at the youngest member of the team. Chief! Shouted a voice, and a man ran to the group, before panting heavily, his face red from running. The bandit gangs are coming for another raid. The chief looked like he was on the verge of panicking, but quickly gave orders to the people to hide or evacuate. Where will we attack from? Asked Shino. The rooftops, said the chief. We've got huntsmen good with bows, they'll be there too. The two Jounin nodded to the chief, before directing their team to the rooftops near the village gate. As they awaited their enemy, a thought struck Kurenai, and she approached Ren. Ren, today you may have to take life, but I've killed people before, Kurenai-sensei, said Ren, sadness evident in her eyes. The rest of the team was shocked, even the composed Hanabi and the emotionless Shino. Ren, did the others train you to kill? Demanded Kurenai, anger welling up. No. It was just I didn't want to, stuttered the small girl, almost tearfully. Could you elaborate? Asked Shino. Kurenai made to interrupt, but was stopped. It was this time when Daddy was scouting again. I'm bored. Ero-sennin, Fishy Face and Daddy are all out of the house that we're hiding in. Oniai-chan is still here, but he's sleeping. I tried to draw a mustache on his face earlier, but he woke up. He's still sleeping on the couch. I suppose he's supposed to guard me, but even people like him have to take a nap every now and then. Suddenly, there's a big explosion, and I turn to the window, to see a lot of water suddenly fly upwards from the forest. Oniai-chan's eyes open and he hurries to the window. It's Kisame's signal, he says. We need to leave now. His eyes still watch the water, still up in the air. It's making some funny shapes. Hunter Nin. Oniai-chan grabs my wrist and starts pulling me outside. I wonder if he knows that his hands are soft. Eventually, he just pulls me onto his back and runs into the forest, and we meet up with Ero-sennin and Fishy Face. Oniai-chan takes the lead, probably because I'm on his back. I think that they run for about 5-10 minutes. I can't see the house anymore, so we must have made some distance, but the hunter guys catch up, creepy masks and all. Itachi spins around, and places me on the ground. I look in time to see his red-eyed thing, his Sharingan form in his usual pitch-black eyes. Fishy Face took his crazy scaly sword of his back, and ripped off the bandages that he covered it with. But those two just distracted the hunter guys when Ero-sennin summons a toad to squash some of them, and it then disappears. They charge us, and Ero-sennin kicks away too, before he stabs them with his kunai. Fishy Face spins his sword around, and it shaves across one of their chests, and he collapses. The next guy gets kicked into the air, and then Fishy Face shaves his face off. It's disgusting. Oniai-chan beats 3, and none of them even get a hit on him. He breaks one's jaw, he breaks another's back, and strangles the last. Suddenly, something grabs me from behind, and cold metal is on my throat. Oniai-chan. I scream, and the 3 spin around to see me, and I think that there are 5 hunters holding me. Drop your weapons, or Reaper Jr. gets it, hisses the hunter holding me. I think he's their leader, and the kunai presses harder to my neck, and I think it's going to cut me. Oniai-chan's eyes turn black again, and Fishy Face sticks his sword in the ground, and Ero-sennin drops his 2 kunai. Good, says the hunter. Now we'll take the girl, and if you come after us we'll kill her. I'm scared. I thought they'd be able to help me and Daddy isn't here. Oh, Reaper isn't going to be able to save you, says another, almost reading my mind. Oniai-chan's eyes glare into mine, and I can tell what he wants me to do. I think my eyes widen with shock, but Oniai-chan is firm. The hunters are starting to drag me away, but they're busy looking at the other 3, not me, and not the seals I'm making. Water release, water fong bullet. I shout, and then water spikes, they're in a circle, with the hunters in the center, appeared out of thin air, and before the hunters do anything, the water spikes kill them, and they scream. I can't forget those screams, as the water drains into the ground. I can't turn away from their bodies covered in blood. I'm trembling, and Oniai-chan holds me, because I think I might have fainted. Ren, says Oniai-chan. Killing will always be hard, and hard to accept for you. But the consequences for yourself would have been even worse. Think. Would you have preferred to go with them, and never see Naruto again? I shake my head. Then, that's what would have happened if you hadn't done so. Do what you do for your own purpose. A person can kill from hate, or love, or to protect. But it's better to kill, even from hate, than no reason at all. Or at least I think so. Oniai-chan does have this strange obsession with people hating him. I think it has something to do with that brother he doesn't like talking about. Brilliant work, Itachi, says Erosenin. Comfort her by talking more about death. For the sole purpose of making Erosenin looking like an idiot, I hug Oniai-chan and thank him. Fishy Face starts laughing as Erosenin does now look like an idiot. And that's the story, finished Rin, as she glanced at her teammates, praying that there was no disgust or fear upon their faces. They looked more like in awe. The village bell suddenly sounded, and the Konoha readied themselves. Welcome to a village on the border of Iwa, said Naruto, bored. Let's get on with it, shall we? The others nodded, and the four of them disappeared swiftly into the village. They split up, seeking out the meeting places. Naruto's contact was in the western section of the village, whilst the others were meeting someone near the eastern gate. Naruto's shadows crept through the deserted alleys, searching out the contact he was to deliver the orders to. However, his shadows discovered a dead man, and as he arrived at the scene, he found a Konoha headband hidden in his pack. Suddenly, several people appeared around him. An ambush. Meanwhile, Itachi, Kisame and Jiraiya had discovered a severely wounded man, who must have been left for dead. The will of fire is burning brighter than ever, said Itachi to the man. What Uchiha Itachi? Coughed the man. What happened? Asked Itachi. God caught me and my mate split up, I think he's dead, choked the spy. Itachi, after seeing several medical jutsu with his Sharingan, and as well as having enough chakra control to successfully use them, began to heal the most lethal wounds. Jiraiya and Kisame kept a lookout, until a barrage of shuriken flew through the air, and they narrowly avoided the projectiles. We've got company. The Iwa were terrified, seeing the Reaper of Death, but they had orders, and attacked. One charged, but Naruto simply caught his throat and crushed it. He then took up his scythe, slashing through another, and then delivered such a powerful kick to the third one that his foot went straight through his body. After seeing those ninja die so easily, the other Iwa fled, as Naruto searched the corpse of the deceased spy, hoping to find some information. Samahata cleaved an Iwa in two, and Itachi's Katan Jutsu disposed of others. Jiraiya was guarding the injured spy, battling the Iwa with his bare hands. However, they were hopelessly outnumbered, and with each ninja that died, 3 others took their places, stronger than the ones before. It was becoming almost futile for them, until suddenly a black mist drifted into the area, and when it cleared, they had vanished. Shino's bugs swarmed up another target as they finished devouring one. Ren flicked through seals, sending a water shark missile jutsu at another wave of raiders. Hanabi and Konohamaru were near to the girl, and were surprised with the Ren's skill. At first, they had thought her nothing more than a loud, hyperactive girl with little experience of the world's horrors, overconfident and arrogant. However, they had forgotten all they had heard about her, and it was evident to all, she was remarkably strong for her age, easily dispatching the raiders and bandits. It was a battle of quality over quantity, the Konoha team easily dealing with the raiders, and it was not long before they decided to cut their losses and flee, but they stopped at the forest, and 2 figures emerged from the rabble. Kurenai's eyes widened as she realized who the 2 were. They are missing Nin from Kiri, she informed her team. The one on the left, the taller one, is called Hotta, around A rank. The other is around B ranked, name unknown. She turned to Shino, who nodded at her. Shino and I will deal with Hotta. You 5 you must deal with the other. Understood? The 5 Chunin nodded in unison, all at the ready, as Hotta and the B rank came closer. Well, look what we have here, said Hotta to his comrade. Main House Hyuga and Reaper Jr. Payday or what, huh? He said to his friend. The B rank nodded, and flicked through several seals. Wind release, great breakthrough. A great blast of wind hurtled at the Konoha, but they easily avoided it only to be attacked by Hotta, wielding 2 short swords. Shino's bugs wrapped themselves around the blades, but Hotta replaced himself with a log, and removed any bugs still attached to him. The Chunin surrounded the B-ranked, but he proved himself to be skilled with taijutsu, punching out Moegi and Udon almost instantly, before kicking out at Konohamaru's chin. 2 more punches flew, and Hanabi and Ren were hit. Hotta bit his lip, drawing blood, and ending the genjutsu Kurenai had placed on him. He flung a barrage of daggers, before he leapt upwards, avoiding another wave of Shino's bugs. Simultaneously, grins erupted onto the faces of the Kiri missing Nin. Time to stop playing around, they said in unison, before they removed weights from their arms. 4 particularly dangerous shinobi were heading back to Konoha, all on a giant toad, an injured spy lying unconscious on the toad's head as well. That wasn't too hard. Not even much of a workout, commented Kisame. Hey, you were about to get your ass kicked if Naruto hadn't saved you, said Jiraiya. What? Naruto? Said Itachi, staring at the Reaper, who had frozen. Naruto turned slowly to his friends, but did not speak. But inside, his emotions were raw and clear. Rin, run! Rin struggled to her feet, wiping blood and grit off her face. The B-ranked ninja had trapped both Kurenai and Shino, with the water capture jutsu, leaving the more powerful Hoda to deal with the Chunin. Hey, you're just weak, said Hoda, an arrogant smirk pasted across his waxy face. Weaklings. What powers do you have? I am well known for being a deadly shinobi, and you 5 are just inexperienced weaklings. Ranging from age 16 to 10, but you 5 are just talentless brats. And you 3, he said, addressing Hanabi, Ren, and Konohamaru, are only known because of your family connections. Alone you are nothing. Insignificant trash. The 5 slowly climbed fully upright, anger coursing through them, prepared to fight, gritted teeth and clenched fists. Oh? Again? Taunted Hoda, his eyes glinting dangerously. Let me have some more fun. He raised his swords and disappeared from view, as he flew past the Chunin, and they suddenly collapsed, to their knees. You won't be able to move your legs. Don't even try. The smile grew even wider. But maybe I should see if there is some reward for you weaklings. Kuma will certainly pay well for a Hyuga of the main house, and Reaper Jr.? There are so many places that will pay highly. Maybe I should cut you into pieces and sell you. You bastard, spat Ren, still trying to get up, but her legs would give way. You talk big, but you're as weak as your bandit friends. I'd have more a problem fighting your mother. Hota's eyes narrowed. Oh, so Reaper Jr. has guts, let me remove them. Fire release, fire dragon flaming missile. A flamethrower shaped like a dragon formed, and hurtled at Rin. However, Hoda had forgotten that Rin could still use her hands. Water release, water encampment wall. The swirling water wall blocked the fire dragon, and as the wall came down, Rin followed up with another jutsu. I can't do this jutsu properly, but an imperfect jutsu will still work. Water release, great waterfall jutsu. Ha! There's not enough water to make a jutsu like that. Don't waste my ti. The missing Nin cut himself off, staring dumbstruck at the water wave forming. What the how the hell are you doing that? I can do that because I'm Uzumaki Rin. And I don't give up. The wave blasted at Hoda and his accomplice, as Rin collapsed from a combined effect of chakra and blood loss. It was around 10, and it was a cloudless sky, leaving the white moon alone in the sky. At Ichiraku's ramen, there were only 2, rather unique customers. Daddy, wailed Rin. I'd be 2 missing Nin. I demand another bowl. Naruto laughed at Ren's words, before looking how many bowls she had eaten. Admittedly, Rin seemed to have some incredible metabolism, never seeming to put on a single gram. So this is why Iruka-sensei cried when he would agree to pay for my ramen. Well, I suppose I can afford. That's a lot of ramen bowls. Naruto scratched the back of his head, his mask lying on the counter before he handed over the correct amount of money, as well as a tip. Thank you, come again, said Iam, smiling at the 2. Naruto smiled warmly, or at least, he attempted to smile warmly, for although many people could not hide emotion, Naruto was now the opposite before he picked up his mask and began to walk away, leading the way to their home. Ren tugged on Naruto's hand, pulling him the other way. Hey! I want to go somewhere else first. Oh look, the Reaper of Death, the most feared ninja in the world pushed around by a 10-year-old, said Jiraiya, suddenly appearing behind the 2. Ero Sennin! Yelled Ren. Stop calling me that! It's Jiraiya! What are you doing here? Asked Naruto. I would have thought you would be at the bathhouse, looking for the late-nighters. Jiraiya sighed regretfully. Ran out of notebooks. Fortunately, that means you can take Ren home. I was planning on going out for another drink, said Naruto, pulling up his hood, and he attached his mask to his belt. Just pick up a sake bottle on the way home, snapped Jiraiya irritably. Ren was worse than Naruto had been to look after. Daddy? You can't drink all the time. Think of your liver. And you might become like Ero Sennin, shouted Ren urgently. Naruto laughed again, but Jiraiya noted the hollow sounds. Naruto lowered himself to Ren's level, his hands on her shoulders. Okay, I won't go out for a drink. For the rest of the week, added Ren. Fine, for the rest of the week, I won't go out for a drink, said Naruto. Promise? Of course. It's a promise, assured Naruto, before he stood upright again, his eyes narrowed, as he detected Root nearby. And judging by the sudden sternness in Jiraiya's eyes, he had sensed them as well. Naruto led away Rin and Jiraiya, knowing the Root were still keeping a distance. At a small restaurant, where a certain party of Jounin regularly frequented, and said Jounin were coincidentally here, generally enjoying a late dinner, drinks, and pleasant conversation. So, she took out 2 missing nin? Grinned Anko, as she reached for another stick of dango. I like her. But honestly, Kurenai, letting yourself be caught so easily. I think something's getting a little past their prime. You say she used the water encampment wall and great waterfall? Kakashi waited for a nod before he continued. Quite incredible, for her to utilize in such a situation so soon after learning them. And no wonder she's Naruto's kid. You taught her the moves? Asked Genma, absent-mindedly twirling the senbon that usually he was chewing on. I taught her those jutsu only yesterday. Ebisu pushed his sunglasses further up his nose. Was that your way of paying back Naruto for never teaching him? What do you mean, Ebisu-san? Asked Shizen, not noticing Sakura, Sasuke and Kakashi slightly shift in their seats at those words. Ebisu raised his eyebrows. You didn't know? Kakashi only ever taught Naruto the tree climbing exercise. The Jounin turned, stunned to face Kakashi, save of course, those who had already known so. He also made it blatantly obvious that he was not even remotely interested in Naruto's training back in that Chunin exam, the one where Sandaime fell. Kakashi simply ignored Naruto in favor of Sasuke, and handed Naruto over to me, said Ebisu, clearly critical of Kakashi's actions. You! Kiba looked like he was on the verge of laughing, but received a kick under the table. So, what did you teach him? I was helping his chakra control, with the water walking exercise, but Jiraiya took over his training. Jiraiya? Where did you find him, the bathhouse? Joked Asuma. Yes, confirmed Ebisu. Naruto got Jiraiya to train him when he showed Jiraiya his technique. What technique? Asked Chuji. At which point Ebisu stopped talking and became very interested in his sake. What youthful technique must it have been? Asked Lee. Lee, it truly must have been a wonderfully youthful technique to convince the legendary Jiraiya to train him, shouted Guy. Shikamaru sighed. I think Naruto showed him as well, the technique you would consider unyouthful. Lee's eyes widened. Oh, he squeaked. Naruto directed Jiraiya to take Rin back home, while he turned to where he could sense the Root. I will count to 5, and if you do not leave me in peace by then, I will attack. 1, 2, 3. So, is it true Naruto killed several ninja a few days ago? Asked Kurenai. Yes. I saw the whole thing, said Tenten. Will Naruto end up fighting someone else? Asked Sakura. Likely, confirmed Niji. And on cue, a Root ANBU flew through the window, shattering good quality double glazing, before crashing into the counter. Whoa! What the dash? Kiba was cut off. 3 more Root nin came hurtling through the broken window, and then they saw who had thrown them. Not that they hadn't guessed already, as they saw the Reaper standing there, arms crossed. You are more than annoying, you are pests. Pests are exterminated. Leave and I will spare you. Understand? The Root ANBU shakily climbed to their feet, before they disappeared, clearly in terror. So much for the powerful and motionless shinobi of Root, scoffed Naruto. Sasuke's eyes suddenly spun into the Sharingan. Naruto turned to the Uchiha, clearly unconcerned. You wish to fight me? Very well. The sooner I take away your pride, the better. Sasuke jumped out of the broken window, facing off against Naruto, before he disappeared from most people's sights. Naruto was only unimpressed, before catching Sasuke's fist, and then snapped his wrist. He then delivered a punch to Sasuke's jaw, almost breaking it. Sasuke staggered away, howling from the pain that had erupted in his hand and jaw. His simple mistake and underestimation had already cost him the fight, but ever the obstinate Uchiha, Sasuke refused to believe that there could be someone who was stronger than him. Suddenly, a kick hit his abdomen, and he was sent back into a wall. Naruto turned. He knew that turning away from the opponent was often a fatal mistake, but not this time. Sasuke stumbled to his feet, before he formed the seals for a certain jutsu in his uninjured hand, ignoring the pain from his left wrist. Chidori! He screamed, charging forwards at Naruto. He suddenly came to a complete stop. Sasuke was trapped in a pool of red liquid blood, and it was drawing him in, like quicksand. Impressive, wouldn't you agree? Asked Naruto. I control both shadow and my blood, and when combined in this state, and after some training with Itachi, I learned this, the Devil's Swamp Genjutsu. Naruto's shadows flowed over the blood, and wrapped around Sasuke's legs, and the Uchiha began to sink even faster into the pool. The next thing all the spectators were aware of was a blood-curdling scream, and the shadows and blood flowed back over the ground, and disappeared into the darkness of Naruto's robes. Sasuke was lying where the pool had been, his face in a clear expression of fear, his body shaking. Suddenly, several NBU, not the ones Naruto had thrown through the window, appeared around Naruto, surrounding him. Now what? Asked Naruto. You are required to wait here until the Godame Hokage arrives, said one. The medical ninja nearby started to heal Sasuke, although nothing they could do could affect whatever was being inflicted on his mind. Naruto suddenly laughed. I will not remove the genjutsu. Cannot or will not? Asked an ANBU. Will not, answered Naruto. He will know, may find his own way out. Naruto could feel the anger rising from several ninja, but any killer intent was insignificant and did not affect him remotely. In a swirl of leaves, Tsunade arrived, rather disgruntled. Naruto, what is the meaning of this? Asked Tsunade angrily. The root ANBU were following me, and I gave them a clear warning. The Uchiha wished to fight me, and I gave him his wish. I will not be held responsible for other people's actions. I do not know what the messengers are telling you, but I am sure they are nothing positive to me, and I am sure they falsify reports to try and have me punished. Just remember, I am not a Konoha ninja, your rules and regulations do not apply to me. And just remember, I am more than capable of destroying Konoha with the power of Reaper and my friends. For the sake of everyone here, your ninja will stop crossing me. Tsunade was nonetheless upset and angry, but willed herself to be firm. Naruto, you are acting as a mercenary, and will respect Konoha while you work here. I will show them respect when they show me respect. Predictably, and unfortunately, the Konoha Shinobi Council soon arrived on the scene. Godame, what is going on here? Demanded Hayashi. Just people having a nice easy spar, said Kakashi. No need for you guys to get involved, he said, doing a very poor job of pretending nothing had happened. Let me guess, it was Uzumaki, growled Hamura. Your guesswork is truly astounding. You really must have found it useful, said Naruto. Reaper of Death, you are well named. You are the sort of monster to care nothing for other people besides your gang. You'd kill children and smile, said Koharu. Evil powers such as yours should not be allowed to exist, said Hayashi angrily. Naruto laughed, as hollow as over. Evil? What is evil? Where is it created, and how can you recognize it? He asked. With a single leap, he was on a high rooftop, his back to them. As he was about to leave, his head turned back to them. If there is evil in this world, it lurks in the hearts of man. Chapter 4, Dread Eyes. Slowly, a week had passed since the Reaper of Death first came to Konoha, and a fortnight was now left on his contract. Schemes were thought up. Plans were made. Manipulations in the shadows. In a disclosed location, a man entered the room of his leader. Danzo-sama, he said, bowing. We may have a lead. He handed several scrolls over. Danzo eagerly skimmed. Perfect, I knew he had a weakness, but we must see if it actually works. May I make a suggestion, Danzo-sama? Dawn, and a red sun rose, and the Reaper stared at it, from his position on the Sandame's stone head. Here again, Naruto? Asked Jiraiya, suddenly appearing behind him. Naruto did not turn to face him, nor did acknowledge his presence. But a few minutes later he spoke. When I was a child, I would come here often, and think Konoha was the greatest sight ever. Looking at it from here always seemed to reinforce my hope to become Hokage and receive respect and acknowledgement. But now, the beauty seems false. An illusion. Like picking a rose, but withdrawing your hand from the pricks of the thorns. Now that was slightly poetic, muttered Naruto, before fishing a tatty journal out of his cloak and scribbling in it. So, what do you want? Asked Jiraiya. I want to be with my friends and daughter, come what may. An honorable wish. Yet I cannot help thinking something bad will approach. The red sun seems to be heralding a fear for me, commented Naruto, before adding that in his journal as well. What do you fear? Death? Death, yes, but not my death. Because, at the end of my contract, it shall end, and the Reaper will be no more. And you? I do not fear my death. Danzo strode out of a room, and immediately, a routine was by his side. Have you completed all the orders? Asked Danzo. Affirmative, Danzo-sama, said the routine. Have you collected all of it? It took us time, but we were able to collect it. Excellent, most excellent. You may leave. The routine bowed and left, and Danzo was left alone. Soon, Reaper of Death, you will be under my control. Tsunade yawned from boredom, before looking up, as the Reaper entered the room. Hamura and Koharu were, for once, not around, but Danzo strangely was, which was rather peculiar, as he usually preferred to remain hidden. It had been shocking enough that he had even shown himself to the council when Naruto arrived. Naruto, take a day off or something, yawned Tsunade, reaching into her desk for that strong bottle of sake she kept hidden from Shizun. You've run out of missions for me, haven't you? Said Naruto bluntly. Tsunade glowered at him. Of course not. Go and spend some quality time with your daughter or something. Naruto sighed, almost mockingly. Very well, I shall. He spun around and headed back to the door. Uzumaki, wait, said Danzo. Yes? I have a most interesting offer for you. Perhaps you'd like to discuss or negotiate it over drinks? Not particularly, said the Reaper, in his usual hoarse bluntness. But I insist. At least have a glass of water, said Danzo, clapping his hands. Only a few moments later, a servant appeared, carrying a tray with 2 glasses of water. Danzo took the glasses and bade the servant away, and offered one to Naruto. Naruto, almost reluctantly, took the glass, but as he was about to take a sip, stopped with a slight start. Something the matter, Uzumaki? Asked Danzo, peering over the top of his glass at Naruto intently. I don't feel particularly thirsty, replied the Reaper, handing back the glass. Why not? Has it got something to do with this? Roared Danzo, jumping forwards and flinging the glasses at Naruto. Naruto attempted to avoid it, but some of the water landed on his left arm, and there was a hissing sound, like acid. Naruto hissed in agony, as he grabbed his left arm. A triumphant smirk was splayed across Danzo's features. My. It seems I was correct. The Reaper of the Death, the Grim Reaper's weakness, is holy water. Naruto gritted his teeth, and raised himself, his arm almost healed, but the pain's still there. You won't kill me like this. You have run out of holy water, and I will kill you for that assault. I dare say Tsunade will not care. Run out? The only running out here is the running out of time left in your life. On his words, it cued several Routine to enter through the doors and windows, carrying vats and vials of what Naruto could immediately tell was holy water. Well, this could be interesting, said Naruto, glancing around at his surroundings, before he focused his gaze at Danzo. Might I ask you how you were able to discover this weakness? Might I ask you how you were able to discover my weakness? We were able to discover many stories of previous missions before you came here. There were only a few when you were harmed, and yet there was nothing definite linking them. However, when we discovered that you had missions involving temples and holy places, we found out you were always hesitant. Any injuries you had from those missions were recorded as burns like acid rather than flames. Why would temples carry acid? The only liquids are drinking liquids, and of course, holy water. You are the Reaper of Death, a dark being. Legends and mythology state that holy water purges the darkness. And, as we found legends of holy water acting as an acid to evil creatures, the case was filled. All I required was a test, and so, when I saw how hesitant you were to drink the water, I knew it was your weakness. Clever. I'll congratulate your skill in deducting that. Maybe Shinigami-sama will find a use for you in the afterlife, said Naruto. Shadows started swirling around his feet, and he raised his hands. The Routine spilled several vats of holy water on the floor, some starting making seals to use the holy water for water jutsus. Even if you can defeat me, the others will arrive, warned Naruto. Danzo laughed cruelly. Do you believe I would have forgotten about them? I suggest you forget about ever seeing them for a long time, Uzumaki. Naruto's mask was off, and his hood was lowered. Blood began to seep from his eye holes, as well as starting to flow from his sleeves and the hem of his black robe. Bastard, hissed Naruto, the crimson blood clearly contrasting with his pale skin and limp blonde hair. Prepare for your brutal execution, mortal. The last word was said in such a manner, it could not have been his voice, but it was certainly not the voice of Kyubi either. How do you release the blood? Permanent wounds? Do you carry it? Fool, remarked Naruto, his voice a cross in between a hiss and a snarl. I fully control the blood in me. As such, it is easy for me to force the blood to burst from any pores on my skin or gaps. You're sweating blood, said Danzo slowly, before kill him. 2 water dragons hurtled at Naruto, formed from the holy water. His eyes only looked at the projectiles with irritation. Darkness release, destruction jutsu. A few seconds later, most of the building had exploded, yet Naruto, Danzo, most his Routine, and Tsunade, who escaped to a nearby vantage point, made it to the ground intact. Oh? Said Naruto. More holy water? Inwardly, he had been hoping that the explosion would get rid of the holy water. His eyes glared at the 20 or so Routine, the others killed in the explosion. Another water dragon came at him, and the blood Naruto had drawn flew upwards, in a manner similar to Gaara's sand, blocking the dragon. Naruto only smirked, as his blood suddenly wrapped around the Routine, all taken unaware. Shadows may be defeated by holy water, my blood is not. You fools did not expect this, and you shall die. The blood began to harden, forming a strong solid, and Naruto began closing his hand into a fist, solidifying the blood even faster. In moments, they would be crushed to death. Dad! Only the powerful voice of his daughter's voice could stop Naruto, and it did so. Naruto spun around, eyes wide in shock and fear. A barely conscious Rin was held hostage by the rest of the routine. Naruto feared little. He did not fear death, disease, nor any man, demon, devil, or god. What he feared was losing his daughter to the abyss of death. He would willingly die 10 times to save her, for that was the bond that connected the two, a bond of such kinship. It shocked many that they were not actually blood-related. "Let her go," Naruto said through gritted teeth. "Let her go, or I'll rip you from hole to hole." "Perhaps now you're interested in that offer?" said Danzo, grinning manically. "Either see your daughter die, you can die, or join Konohagakure permanently, never to oppose the leaf, but to serve as the weapon of Konoha. I know you would never go back on your word, and there you can. Promise." "Look at this," cackled Danzo, pointing at Naruto insanely. The Great Reaper of Death, the Grim Reaper, the most dangerous man in the world, defeated by the weakness and his own nindo. Naruto stared at Danzo's antics. The man was no doubt insane, a result of his paranoia and war obsession. "Swear it." "Promise," spat Danzo. Naruto felt his blood creep into shadows and approach Rin. The fools were off guard. "Give your oath, Uzumaki." "I have no choice," Naruto lied, lowering his head and dropping his scythe. Danzo threw back his head and laughed, only for his laughter to end abruptly, as blood burst from shadows, enwrapping around Rin, and carrying her to safety behind Naruto. What did you do?" "Fool. I simply used shadow to conceal blood traveling towards you," said Naruto, before he whistled. A black horse suddenly appeared, galloping from the shadowy alleyways. Naruto disappeared in a burst of shadow, before reappearing on the horse. "Thy death shall be imminent. Now behold, mortals, for you are blessed to witness this greatest power of the Reaper. These eyes, the eyes of the Angel of Death. The dread eyes." Naruto put on his skull mask, and raised his hood, but suddenly the tinted eye gaps became visible. But those eyes of azure changed. They turned black, save his pupils which shrank, and turned white, clearly contrasting with the black. Yet, the Root or Danzo did not see these eyes, but such fear was awakened in their bodies. Even if they mustered the courage to look away, let alone to try and move, they would realize their fear was rooting them to the ground. Whatever it was far more powerful than mere killing intent. "I shall bring a judgment upon thy sins. Thou penance shalt be in death." The fell steed charged, and although it was remarkably fast, faster than most ninja, it came slow to the routine and their leader, their lives flicking in front of their eyes. They could not see Naruto, or the Reaper. This power had made them see death itself. The scythe flashed, and suddenly they were cut through. A fire enveloped their bodies, and Naruto galloped away, before turning back to face them. "Burn! Burn in eternal flames, wretched souls!" The council looked furious. Danzo's rashness would mean that their plan would not work. They had been intending to sucker Rin in, as it were, making her want to stay in Konoha, and of course, Naruto would have agreed. The plan may have actually worked, if it had not been for that incident. The finding of the Reaper's weakness was not all that big. It still seemed it would take nearly an army of ninja with holy water to stop him, and even then, Naruto still had Jiraiya, Itachi and Kisame protecting him. Itachi appeared in a swirl of leaves. "Naruto, you know the risks of using that." Naruto turned slowly to Itachi, removing his mask and lowering his hood. His blonde locks hung limply over his face, masking his left eye in shadow, and the visible eye glowed coldly. His smile was similar to that of a madman. Itachi sighed. Naruto, even during previous times as the Reaper of Death, had seen better days. "Do you want me to take Rin?" he asked quietly. Naruto nodded in the affirmative, and his horse whinnied and rode away. The Reaper did not care where he was going, but it did not matter. Itachi sighed again, and with that, he slung Rin over his shoulder and disappeared. The Godame sighed as well. "It seems that because of Danzo, we are doomed," she began, as a skeletal arm burst out of the ground, a scroll held in its bone fist. Tsunade unrolled the scroll and read it aloud. "Dear Godame, I simply wish to tell you that although I find myself quite irritated with the late Danzo's actions, I am still going to continue my period as a mercenary. I have 2 weeks left on my contract with Konoha, and I have every intention of upholding it. Yours sincerely, Uzumaki Naruto." Standing from some distance away, a man who looked slightly like a Venus flytrap and was wearing a black cloak with red clouds on it was staring at Naruto. "Perhaps we can use this to our advantage," said one side of him, before he melted into the ground as if he had never been there. With the speed of the fell speed, Naruto was already out of Konoha, deep in the forest. The horse had left him, and he was on the floor, alone. He screamed, his hands clawing at his eyes. He could have killed the fools without the dread eyes, but his anger had got the better of him. His flesh started to melt and disappear, as he felt another presence strong in his mind. His armor and underclothing eventually disappeared, as he already was all bone, clad in nothing but his black robe and bones. His eyes changed. He stumbled on all fours, his blood following him, his shadow at his side. And he crawled along, on his skeletal frame, valiantly fighting the presence in his mind, yet by doing so, weakening his physical body. He had to hurry, for when he entered this form, she could gain enough power to materialize. The Reaper reached a calm river, forcing his body to the water's edge. Water, water, he croaked, his voice hoarse. He dipped his left hand into the water, and groaned as the cool water washed over his aching bones. He forced himself to move forwards, and he fell into the water, floating on his back. He was successful, and drove away the entity in his mind. Yet he was too late, as a figure of a ghostly, yet shining woman appeared in front of Naruto. She was certainly beautiful, long dark brown hair, and emerald green eyes, that narrowed at the sight of Naruto. She was clad in a gleaming white kimono, and was levitating above Naruto with the aid of her white feathery wings. A shining sword appeared in her hand. Without warning, she plunged the sword through Naruto's ribcage. Naruto shrieked, and his skeletal fingers gripped the sword, and pulled it out, before he pulled his fingers, which looked like they had been burned from the sword. Why do you torture me like this? The woman showed no emotion and impaled Naruto again. Why do you not fight back? She asked in a powerful and emotionless voice. You should pass on. Not till your death, answered the woman, before pulling out the sword and stabbing it through Naruto's mouth. She then drew it out again, and smashed it against his spine. I cannot kill you. Why can I not kill you? The blood, without Naruto's intention, sprung from the ground to create a shield, but it was easily destroyed with a few slashes from the sword. I can hurt you, but I cannot kill you. Why can I not kill you? You are dead, there is no reason for you to stay here. You killed me, and I will return the favor. It was not me who killed you, protested the skeleton. It was the darkness that killed you. You are the darkness. You not only killed me, but killed the person I loved. The darkness is not in full control. I still exist. Why else would I protect Rin, Jiraiya, Itachi and Kisame? Why else would I agree to help Konoha, instead of seeking revenge? Lies. Lies you throw in front of you to conceal the truth. Lies you made with the essence of his spirit. Lies you have formed into bonds that you convince yourself are true. Naruto felt his will shake. Was he truly a lie? Did he only fake his friendships, his bonds? But the image of Rin floated into his mind, and he was gripped with determination again. No, no, said the skeleton. It is not me who is a lie, but you. You are a fraction of a spirit, the hatred of a spirit. The rest has died, and you refuse to pass on with it for pointless revenge. Liar! Screamed the woman, before slashing again with her sword. No, you must pass on. Not till you die. Pass on, or I will make you pass on, said Naruto. He raised his scythe and stood upright, his strength returned. A dark smile appeared on the woman's lips. So, that is how you die. You have to fight back. Only at the fight can there be one survivor. Is everyone here? Asked Jiraiya. He looked around the room. Tsunade, Shizen, the Rookie 8 and their senseis Irika, Niji, Tenten, Lee, Guy. Good, it's time I explained a few things. Like what? Inquired Tsunade, raising an eyebrow. Like how Naruto became the Reaper of Death, said Jiraiya seriously, and how he simply took off today. After all, it seems strange he would just leave Rin there with Itachi, instead of taking her himself, does it not? Then explain, answered the Godame. It was about 6 years ago, began Jiraiya. Brats, we've been hired for another mission, said Jiraiya. Ero Sennin. Do we get to guard someone important, or do we have to infiltrate a fortress? Shouted Naruto. Or are we going to retrieve a scroll with loads of awesome jutsu? Shouted a girl enthusiastically. Come on, Ero Sennin. Tell us. Shouted the two. It's Jiraiya. Shouted Jiraiya furiously. Show some respect. The girl crossed her arms and pouted, as Naruto kicked the dust. So? What are we doing? Asked Naruto. We are going to find 2 great relics in some old ruins, said Jiraiya in a bored tone. What? Ero Sennin, that's not fun at all. Shouted the girl. Yeah. What's so special about these relics anyway? Yelled Naruto. I don't know, there's some crappy legend about them. Snapped Jiraiya. Anyway, the ruins aren't too far from this village, you two can do it on your own. Ero Sennin, if we leave you alone in a village, no woman will be safe. Yelled the girl. That's right. Naruto, Kaori, shut up. Roared a furious Jiraiya. Just do the mission and stop yelling at me. What? Asked Tsunade, raising an eyebrow. That's it. There's more to it than that, said Jiraiya. The relics were 2 weapons, one a sword and the other I'm sure you can guess. A scythe. That's right. I was wandering through the town, when I heard a legend about two weapons that carried a great curse which was passed on to whoever touched them. Weapons that matched the descriptions of the relics. I then realized if it was true, Naruto and Kaori were in grave danger. Then what happened? Inquired Kakashi. When I got there, it was too late. Jiraiya burst into the ancient room. Don't touch those weapons! He screamed, but it was too late. Kaori had grabbed the sword, and Naruto had grabbed the scythe. A split second later, they both began to scream in agony. White wings burst from Kaori's back, her clothes changed to a white kimono, and her body started to shine. A cloak and bone-like armor appeared on Naruto, as well as a skull-like mask, and his eyes changed to black, his pupils small and white. The two faced each other, and started to attack. What? Why did they attack? Was a question repeated by the people in the room, astonished. Those weapons were known as the Sword of Sanctity, and the scythe was called Fell Herald. They were last wielded by the true Reaper of Death, or Grim Reaper, and the Guardian of Life, or Angel. The true? How about the original? These two were sworn enemies. Eventually, they killed each other, both warped horribly from the honorable intentions they had once had, and only their weapons surviving. Wait, what did you mean about honorable intentions? Asked Kurenai. The Guardian of Life protected lawfulness, and the Reaper of Death killed the chaotic. If they had stayed like this, then the world would undoubtedly been a better place. Sure, it'd have a lot less people. For a reason none can remember, the two started to hate each other, and became enemies. They ended up caring more about destroying the other than completing their duties well. They eventually had a great battle, where neither lived. Anyway, as I was saying, only their weapons survived, both weapons cursed to make the next Guardian of Life and Reaper of Death, and to destroy the other. As the two picked up the weapons, they were able to learn things past the level of humans. Although, all the shadow techniques Naruto knows is after attempting to learn them. You see, you do not just gain all this power by picking up a relic, all they gained from that was the potential, and weapon skills with either the sword or the scythe. So, what was the outcome of the fight? Asked Tsunade, although she already had realized. Jiraiya breathed out. Naruto won. He killed Kaori. After all, the Reaper was the fighter, the Guardian was the defender. And in those last minutes of her life, they both regained their humanity. What the Kaori? Asked Naruto, staring at Kaori's bloody body, and he was holding the scythe embedded into her. Naruto? She coughed. The memories of what had transpired flew into their minds. No! Kaori, don't die! Screamed Naruto, pulling out the scythe. This isn't your fault, Naruto, it was the Reaper's scythe. It was the scythe. No! I won't let you die! Yelled Naruto, clutching Kaori's cold hands. Too late for that. I guess we should have listened to Erosenin, huh? Kaori coughed again, and raised herself slightly. Listen to me, Naruto. You have to find a way or the Reaper's spirit will overcome you. Just remember it was the darkness's fault. Kaori's eyes turned hollow, and her body fell back from her position. Kaori! And soon, Naruto began to discover he could not just lose or destroy the scythe, continued Jiraiya. Leave me alone! Howled Naruto, attempting to break the scythe against his knee. Nothing happened. Another time, Naruto threw the scythe into a volcano. He saw it sink into the lava and suddenly, it reappeared next to him. The next time, Naruto swung the scythe around, and threw as hard as he could out to the sea. He watched it fade out of his line of sight when he saw a dark-colored light appear around it, and it reappeared next to him. Distraught, Naruto formed a Rasengan and smashed it into the scythe. There was not even a mark made. Eventually, he had no choice but to start to perform his duties as the Reaper of Death, said Jiraiya. You haven't explained why Naruto just ran off, said Kakashi. Jiraiya sighed. Kaori was under the influence of the Guardian of Life. Her last thoughts were anger. Anger at the Reaper of Death for killing her. Anger at the Reaper of Death for starting to consume Naruto. Anger that the original Guardian of Life shared. Whenever Naruto activates his dread eyes, a certain someone attempts to control his body. Even though Naruto has always been successful in getting rid of the intruder, it triggers a reaction that starts to make his flesh melt away and his armor disappears, making him nothing more than a skeleton in a cloak and scythe. In short, a true Reaper of Death. Not only this, Kaori can materialize, thanks to her power and anger, and has always attacked Naruto, attempting to kill him. Kill him? She can hurt him, but it cannot kill him. Naruto only wishes to make her pass on to the afterlife, or whatever is there. The only way the anger could kill him is if Naruto attempted to fight back. But why does she attack him? The anger now believes that Naruto has been consumed by the Reaper, and of course, if you see Naruto's form in that condition, you would probably believe it too. No pleading or begging could satisfy the anger. How does the anger stop attacking him? Asked Kakashi. Eventually, Naruto transforms back, and she disappears. But the main thing is that the original Reaper is still consuming Naruto. In 2 weeks, the Reaper will have a form. Naruto will have to face the Reaper in battle if he wishes to keep his body and, of course, to stay alive. 2 weeks? But that means… Yes, on the last day of Naruto's contract with Konoha. Not only that, but the stone may also attack then, which will be perilous for all. Wait a minute, said Shikamaru. Naruto gained his shadow powers from the Reaper, but where did he gain his blood power? Was it from the Kyuubi? Asked Asuma. Sword of Kyuubi's chakra reacted with the Reaper's power, and it gave him control of blood. And because of Naruto's regeneration abilities, he can lose plenty of blood. Also, since he never needs to rely on the Kyuubi for chakra because the Reaper has locked it away, he can use all that wasted chakra to replace his blood at incredible speeds. What would happen to Naruto if he defeated the Reaper in the battle? Jiraiya shrugged his shoulders, before answering. Apart from having his body in full control, I have no idea. Well, just how strong is Naruto? Asked Neji. Jiraiya scratched his chin. Well, I have no idea about that either. Could Naruto use the Kyuubi's power to help him? The Reaper anticipated that and blocked off the Kyuubi's seal away with a powerful shadow seal. If holy water is Naruto's weakness, what is the Guardian of Life's weakness? I believe the weakness was… By the tree next to the window, a man who looked like a Venus flytrap stopped eavesdropping and vanished. The skeleton parried the sword, before leaping into the air, before hurtling down, his scythe raised for a vertical slash. Kaori flew backwards, and the scythe smashed against the water, forming a massive wave, which canonied towards the Guardian. She was hit by the wave and sent back with the water, hitting against a tree as the water dispelled itself. She growled, before a golden bow formed in her hands. And suddenly she was firing arrows. This, Naruto knew, was the power of the Guardian of Life. Not to control light, but to form weapons using its power. Shadows burst from the ground, wrapping around the arrows. The ends that were on the grounds traveled to Naruto's hands. Naruto spun the tendrils of shadow in the air, before releasing them as he slung them all at Kaori, who disappeared in a flash of light, appearing behind him. Light flashed all over the area, as the two attacked each other viciously at superhuman speeds, but the two eventually broke away, to face each other from opposite ends of the lake. She is equal in strength to me. It is pointless to continue this fight, thought Naruto, as he dropped his scythe. What are you doing now? We will continue, spat Kaori. I will ensure you pass on, but not like this, not today. Naruto's skeletal face twisted into a smile, as his armor and flesh began reappearing, and his blood began to join with his body again. Kaori screamed in fury as she faded into light. Jiraiya told them, said Itachi. I wanted him to, said Naruto. The battle approaches. And what is the worst that may happen? The worst is that, not only the darkness there, but Akatsuki show up, as well as the stone, and her spirit. Well, that is the most likely to occur. It is? Asked Naruto, raising an eyebrow. Akatsuki and Stone may have sent spies into Konoha. After all, it is general knowledge that you are here. Well, that might be annoying. Might be? Said Itachi. It would actually be better. If they were all together, the sooner we can wipe them all out together. Meanwhile, the man that looked like a Venus flytrap had finished his report. So, the Uzumaki will be weak then, I see, said a man. This will be our chance to not only capture the Kyuubi, but deal with Itachi and Kisame for betraying us. I will find a way to change the stone's attack plans to 2 weeks, yeah, said a man who looked like a girl. Excellent. You have all done well. With the Kyuubi, Akatsuki will succeed. Who's going to be on this mission? The first man laughed. All of us. We will attack in 2 weeks. Jashin will be with us to cause a massacre, said a man with silver hair. You better pray to your damn Jashin now. I am not going to wait half an hour again, snapped a masked man. Remember to include holy water in your weapons. Now, I'll just recap things. We will attack Konoha in 2 weeks under cover of daylight, said the leader. Daylight? Said a red-haired puppeteer. Surely you can't be serious. I am, and don't call me Shirley. The leader burst out laughing at his own joke, while the others started to back away quietly without sudden movements. Chapter 5. The Calm Before the Storm. When rain falls in Konohagakure, many mouths whisper that the sky is crying. So the sky cries at midnight tonight, and her tears hit the gray windows, but even now, there are many still awake. Tsunade reached for her sake bottle, but as she raised it to her lips, she suddenly began to think about Naruto's changes. Of course she preferred his old side, but his new side, his emotionless Reaper of Death side, just scared her. If Naruto didn't have people he didn't care about, she might have been too scared to be even in the same room as Naruto. Of course, she felt it was all her fault. She could have done more for Naruto. She could have stopped the attempted execution. Tsunade for the second time stopped when she was about to drink her sake. She could drink as long as she could, but her guilt would not fade with time. Sasuke stared out of the window, in full concentration, while the raindrops fired against the window panes in full intensity. At first he had been angry at Naruto for becoming strong and traveling with Itachi. Now he didn't know what to say. At first, he had thought it unfair Naruto had gained all these powers. But he had been handed things all his life. And Naruto received his shadow abilities after attempting to learn them, and he had killed someone as Jiraiya had described it, seemed like his girlfriend, someone who was close to him. Then, he had lost so much of his humanity. But Itachi, he didn't care what Naruto thought, or why he spared Itachi. Itachi was responsible for his clan's destruction, and he should have his revenge, shouldn't he? Kakashi stared at the memorial stone, not caring about the water that fell on him, while his hair fell over his face. He knew that he could have made a difference a long time ago, but it was his fault for being too blind to Naruto. He was praying to his deceased friends and family for a second chance. The rain just fell on him. A flash of lightning lit the area. The rain just fell. Sakura lay back on her bed, the intensity of the day's events flashed through her mind. At first, she couldn't understand what had happened to Naruto to transform him into the man he was today. Now she knew too well how hard it must be to see the person you love die in your arms, by your own hands. She wondered if she could have done something, but she had always been too preoccupied with Sasuke. And there was no point crying now. Kiba wasn't always thought of as the intelligent type, but he could think when he wanted to, and Naruto intrigued him. He had been with Naruto on that fateful mission, which started the whole affair. Sometimes he had blamed Sasuke for leaving. Sometimes he blamed Orochimaru for trying to get Sasuke to join him. Sometimes he blamed the council for hating Naruto. Sometimes he had even blamed himself, for not being stronger, for not helping Naruto more. Blame was a complicated thing, and few knew who to blame more. Shikamaru sat with his eyes closed, his face clouded in an expression of deep thought. If Naruto was to fight the true Reaper of Death, Shikamaru knew that Naruto would be greatly handicapped. First of all, he would not be able to use his shadow powers, and his side skills would not be as good as with the original Reaper. Secondly, with the Reaper's incredible shadow skills, Naruto's blood abilities would not be able to keep up. Third, Naruto could not use the Kyuubi's chakra. Fourth, Koi's spirit might use the chance to try and destroy Naruto. Fifth, Akatsuki and Iwa were going to attack then. It was then when Shikamaru realized it all. Naruto had returned to Konoha because he had wanted to see the few people in his past who were friendly to him, and help them. Naruto did not expect to live, even if he was successful in defeating the Reaper. Neji stood in front of a mirror, his left hand tracing the seal on his forehead. He had been wrong for so much of his life, believing that no one could change their fate, and blaming his father's death on Hinata. Naruto had shown him the error of his ways. And yet, he still felt like he owed Naruto and had never paid him back. He didn't care whether Naruto was the Reaper of Death, he didn't care that if he chose to help him it would mean inevitable destruction, but he would stand alongside Uzumaki Naruto, the Grim Reaper, in his battles. Chuji sat and thought. He had always considered Naruto a friend, and yet he still did. It was this that made him worried. First, of course, is the fear of the battle upcoming with Iwa. Second, he had seen the power of the Reaper of Death in Naruto. He sure as hell didn't want to see a more powerful Reaper of Death, one against them. He didn't know how they beat so many great enemies, but he was going to be there anyway. Hinata had always admired Naruto, but now maybe she did, maybe she didn't. Admittedly, Naruto was about 50 times more bloodthirsty and willing to kill, but it seemed his bravery, strength, and his willing to protect those he cared about had gone up as well. However, she had seen Naruto the first day he had arrived and earlier that day, when she had seen him fight the Root Nin. She had seen his face on both times, and she could swear his face was getting paler, or his skin was seeming to fade away, as his skull seemed to be becoming clearer and tighter against his skin, and the bones were more visible. She guessed it had to do with the Reaper getting free, and yet she remembered the person he had once been, despite that seemed to be a mere mask. She had also noticed recently that Naruto tried to keep his mask on when with his daughter. She had also guessed well for that. Naruto didn't want Rin to know what he was going through, because she also knew Naruto expected to die. If you had seen Shino, you would have thought him observing his bugs. In truth, he was thinking. He remembered the chakra his bugs had felt on Naruto, warm and kind. It had made him realize that was Naruto's chakra, not Kyuubi's or the Reaper's. It meant Naruto was trying to avoid using the Reaper's chakra at all costs, meaning he was trying to delay the process of the Reaper getting free. The Reaper's chakra had seemed dark, but not necessarily evil or demonic. The Reaper's chakra, was it the shadows that followed Naruto, or was it the black mist Naruto disappeared into? Shino did not know, but he had accepted Naruto when he found out about the Kyuubi. After all, He contained a colony of bugs in him, but that did not make him a bug. Lee removed the weights off his legs like he did always before bed. He, like Naruto, had suffered from pains of loneliness, and having few friends, and the lack of disrespect and the scorn for being the dead last. He could tell Naruto was suffering greatly now, and although Naruto was with them, it had been the Reaper of Death who had destroyed Naruto's spirit, for even under Naruto's old mask, he had his indomitable spirit, which always allowed him to carry on. Lee would help Naruto in his battles. Shizen's eyes rested on the sleeping Tonton. She remembered the boy who had affectionately referred to her as a big sister. That boy seemed to have died, choked out by the darkness of the Reaper of Death. She had seen bits of the old Naruto, times when he was around Ren, or Irika, or when he was at the Ichiraku's ramen. She wanted to help him, even though she probably wasn't all too capable of fighting a being of such power like the original Reaper of Death. Irika was wondering about Naruto, a boy who was like a brother to him. He had only spoken to him twice in the week he had been at Konoha, but it was easy to see that he still saw Irika like family. And Irika still saw Naruto like family, and family members are there for one another. And Irika was going to support Naruto through the darkness that is yet to pass. Tenten had never really had a proper conversation with Naruto, but she saw that he had always shocked and impressed people throughout his life. 7 years ago, she watched him defeat her teammate Hyuga, a genius shinobi, in front of hundreds of people. Soon after that, he learned the legendary Rasengan move of the Yondaime quicker than anyone ever had, and he saved her idol Tsunade and brought her back to Konoha as the Godaime Hokage. After that, he had defeated Uchiha Sasuke when he attempted to defect, but the council had used this as an excuse, saying that he could not control the Kyuubi's chakra, and attempted to have him executed. Naruto had been wronged, and yet now, even after receiving all this power, he was a broken man. Ino, like Tenten, had never had much conversation with Naruto. Like Sakura, she had constantly ignored Naruto for Sasuke, writing Naruto off as a hopeless dead last. Still, however, one thing hadn't changed about him: his ability to be full of surprises. She wasn't sure how Naruto was supposed to defeat a powerful being like the Reaper of Death without all his shadow powers, and without the Kyuubi's powers. That left his blood, and if he constantly used that, the chakra regenerating his blood would run out, leaving him in a grave position. Naruto removed the bone-like gauntlet from his left hand, examining the pale hand intently. He plucked a knife from his robe, and slashed across his hand. The wound healed within moments, but although Naruto had felt it, he knew he had slashed himself, but it had not let him feel pain. "What are you doing?" Itachi had appeared behind him. "I am checking how much the dread eyes speeded up the process," replied Naruto, looking over his shoulder. "What noticeable effects have occurred?" "I cannot feel pain as well as I could," stated Naruto, before impaling the knife through his hand. He pulled it out, and the wound began to heal, but Naruto smiled. He certainly felt pain. And his brain was screaming at him for such a stupid act. "Why would you be interested in that?" Naruto did not answer, as he wiped down the knife and returned it to his robe. "So, how much did it speed up by?" asked Itachi. "It is fine. Provided I do not use it again, the Reaper will still only be able to awaken in 3 weeks. Have you not found a way to defeat the Reaper?" "I have imagined every possible scenario, and I have yet to imagine a method that will maintain my survival." "And you are content with that?" said Itachi, eyes narrowed. "If we live to atone for our sins, I've lived long enough. I've lived too long already." "What about Ren, Naruto? Does she mean so little to you that you would leave her alone in this way?" "Itachi, if I did not consider you my comrade, I would have struck you for that. Of course I care about Ren. I love her like any father loves his daughter, but I wish to save her any pains that will be caused by my death. Does she even know yet?" "No." Good Naruto retrieved a scroll from his robe. "If I die, I hold you responsible for ensuring Ren gets this." Naruto placed the scroll into a cabinet. "Keep it there until you find a safer place. The Suna forces will arrive tomorrow." Neither of the two was aware of a small girl spying on them through the doors of a nearly closed wardrobe in the corner of the room. "You seem to carry too much in your robes. What exactly do you keep in there?" asked Itachi. "Well, let's see, there's my water flask, my journal, jutsu scrolls for Rin Kunai and Shuriken, blood replenishing pills, nutrient pills, old mission paperwork, bandages." Naruto was still going as the two left the room, and Rin heard their footsteps down the hallway fade away. She ran to the cabinet, took a quick look at her surroundings to check she was alone, and pulled out the scroll. "Dear Ren, if you are reading this, I am now dead, and judging by the fact this is not destroyed, I take it the Reaper of Death is dead as well. I once told you that I would have to battle the true Reaper, but I never told you when. I'm sorry. I know I haven't always been fair, and I sometimes cut your allowance unfairly, or would run away leaving you to pay for the ramen, but since you've inherited my money, that isn't a problem anymore. I'm also sorry I never got to teach you the Rasengan, but you'll have to leave that to Jiraiya now. By the way, I hope Itachi, Jiraiya and Kisame are treating you right, or when they join me. I don't know where I am going in the afterlife, but I have done my job, Rin. My humanity was destroyed the day I picked up the Fell Herald, and if I had never met you, I would truly be a mere killing machine. I am truly indebted to you. I don't care where I end up, but I would like to leave this account behind. I'm sure, perhaps, you are angry at me for dying at the hands of the Reaper. I am sorry for dying on you, but I'll be smiling down at you. I'm sorry, goodbyes aren't exactly my speciality. From your father, Uzumaki Naruto. P.S. I love you. Don't forget that. Although the letter hadn't been particularly poetic, Rin was unable to stop the tears streaming down her face. She wiped her face with her sleeve and placed the letter back in the cabinet before leaving the room. She stumbled down the hall to her bedroom, where she collapsed onto her bed, her eyes still spilling with tears. Rin had never felt so useless. First her parents, now Naruto. She remembered the first time she had properly spoken to him. Huh? Where am I? Kachin? Tusan? Asked Rin, waking up on Naruto's back. Go back to sleep, said Naruto. Huh? Who are you? Don't you remember what happened? Asked Naruto. The memories of her parents' deaths flew back to her. Put me down! Yelled Rin. Naruto dropped her, and she fell to the ground unceremoniously. What are you going to do to me? She demanded. I was going to look after you, answered Naruto, quickening his pace slightly, and Rin ran a little to catch up. Take me home. Who's there to go to? And besides, I go traveling around the world. It's too risky for someone like me to go staying in one place. If I'm going to look after you, I have to take you with me. Take me back! Screamed Rin, stamping about furiously. No, replied Naruto abruptly, and that's the end of it. Take me back! Screamed Rin again, stamping heavily onto Naruto's foot. Naruto howled. My foot! Take me back! My foot! Take me back! Run? Is something wrong? Asked Naruto, entering the room. The tearful girl threw the scroll at Naruto, who caught it and instantly realized what it was. Rin. Why didn't you just tell me? Rin practically screamed. Naruto sighed. I didn't want you to get hurt. And was this supposed to make me feel better? I'm sorry, I thought for the best. Anything else you were going to tell me? Naruto sighed again, and pulled something out of his robe that looked something like a black sword hilt. It's called the Raijin sword. It belonged to the Night Aim. It's rightfully yours. Rin took the sword, her hands wobbling, and she suddenly demanded, when were you going to give me this? Maybe in a few days. Really? Because that's hard to believe, screamed the girl. I'm sorry. I mean it. Go away. I hate you. Naruto lowered his head and turned and left. Rin choked slightly, before wiping her tears and lying down to sleep. Uzumaki, it's been a while, hasn't it? Naruto smiled. Go Dame Kazekage Gaara, he said, turning around. So, what is it? A year? I put it as a year and 1 month, said Gaara, in his usual emotionless voice. The two were in the Hokage residence, and with Gaara's arrival, it seemed the sooner reinforcements had arrived. Gaara had met Naruto several years ago, as the Reaper of Death, when Naruto saved his life from Akatsuki. Sadly, Akatsuki's second assault came stronger, and Gaara lost Shikaku, but thanks to the sacrifice of Chiyo, and a good bit of Naruto's chakra, they had managed to save Gaara from certain death. It is typical for a Kage to save his village over his own life, yeah, smirked Deidara, staring at the unconscious Gaara. Deidara was flying on one of his clay birds and Gaara was lying unconscious on another. All of a sudden, the bird stopped. Deidara turned and saw gigantic shadows on the ground wrapped around the clay birds. Surprise, said a voice. The Reaper burst out of thin air, above Deidara, and brought his scythe down vertically. The bird escaped from the shadow, and flew away from the attack. As Naruto fell, he disappeared in a burst of black mist, before reappearing in another burst over Deidara and his bird again. The bird attempted to fly, but was this time partly stuck in the shadow. The scythe went through Deidara's left arm. Deidara howled and flew away. His arm hung uselessly by his side. It would heal soon, but Deidara had failed. Far away on the ground, a puppeteer watched on. You see, Deidara, fine art is something left long into the future. Regretfully, Akatsuki attacked again, with more members, and this time did extract Gaara's demon. If it had not been for Chiyo and Naruto, Gaara would not be alive today. Days started to pass by. Naruto was on complete leave from missions, training hard. His relation with Rin had not gotten any better. She had been refusing to even talk or look at him. He went up to her room, fully intent on apologizing as much as he could to be informed by Jiraiya that Ren was on a mission. Something dark awoke. Blackness swirled in his empty eyes, forming black eyeballs, and a white crescent moon where the pupil would have been. My eyes hast opened, said a dark voice. Skeletal arms raised the person to his feet. A black cloak swirled around it, masking the bones making up the person. My slumber hast been long, and shadows return. Thou hast wielded my power for 6 years, Uzumaki, and now thy death is imminent. The person stretched out his bone arms, before pulling his hood up. The arms were stretched out again, and a scythe appeared in his hands. I am the true Reaper of Death. Jiraiya was just about to give Naruto more information about Ren's mission, when Naruto fell to the ground, clutching at his torso. Naruto! Jiraiya cried, alarmed. With help from the older man, Naruto picked himself up, shaking slightly, and took off his mask, revealing his pale face. He has awoken. The Reaper? Asked Jiraiya, but he knew well the answer. Yes, he is awake now. It won't be long since he breaks the chains and frees himself, and when that happens, the fight begins, said Jiraiya solemnly. So, have you made any plans? Itachi asked you to say that, didn't he? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya did not answer, yet Naruto knew it could only mean in the affirmative. Ren found out. You told her? Naruto sighed. I wish. She was eavesdropping on my conversation with Itachi and found the scroll I wrote. You didn't sense her? I did, but her room was next door. I thought she was in her room. What did she say? She more or less said I was a liar and a failure as a father, said Naruto. Does she hate me, Jiraiya? No, said Jiraiya, merely brushing away the comment. Ren loves you, Naruto. Don't forget it. But she... Naruto, don't you know anything about standard parenting? When daughters start getting older, it's believed to be regular to start screaming at overprotective fathers. I am not overprotective, Jiraiya. Really? Because I caught her with a 12-year-old boy in an alley. What? Shouted Naruto, startled with this revelation. Where is he? I'll kill him. Jiraiya laughed. I was joking, and also, that doesn't help your not overprotective statement. Naruto glared at Jiraiya, which was enough to stop his laughing. By the way, you know, I told them about Kaori's weakness. Did you know that when I first heard the Guardian of Light had a weakness, I thought it was liquor? Why? Asked Naruto, thinking Jiraiya was still trying to cheer him up. Because the Reaper's weakness is holy water, and you know the Guardian is the stereotypical good and holy guy, and since holy people tend to protest against the evils of drink, I thought it would be an alcoholic beverage. Naruto started laughing at this. Your logic is well, what can I say? I think you're going senile, Erosenin. I haven't seen you smile like that in a long time. You know, I'd thought you'd forgotten how to laugh. Ren? How is Narusari? Forget I asked, hastily said Konohamaru, noticing the glares of the younger girl. Is that the Raijin's sword? Asked Moegi with genuine interest. Didn't that belong to Naidame Hokage-sama? Yeah. It's really cool. It can cut through just about anything. Although Fish-Face Sensei cheats by using his chakra-eating sword, so I have to keep putting chakra into the sword. Damn Fish-Face, she grumbled. When you mean Fish-Face, are you referring to Hashigeki Kisame, S-ranked missing Nin of Mist? Asked Hanabi, certainly shocked. Obviously. There aren't that many people with fish faces. Kurenai-sensei, are we going to face opposition on patrol duty? Asked Udon glumly. Although, it was Shino who answered. It is quite possible. These are times of war. Just because the war is not officially declared, it will not stop any opponents from taking the chance to launch a surprise attack, said Kurenai. Yet, any hostility we encounter will be infiltrators and reconnaissance teams, so it should be an even fight. The team continued their trek. They had been resting at an outpost, and would continue to the border, now going speedily through the forests, all traveling on the thick branches that could easily support several men's weight. Kurenai and Rin were both stationed at the rear, something the woman had fixed especially so she could talk to the girl. Something wrong, Kurenai-sensei? Asked Rin, noticing an expression on the Jounin's face. Kurenai sighed. Rin, do not try and fight a ninja far above your level again. But last time, Hodo was caught unaware, and was also not exactly a brilliant example of a great ninja. Proper shinobi who have attained such high ranks do not underestimate opponents, at any time. They keep themselves fully aware, using surroundings to their own advantage, and have to think out every possible scenario. Rin blinked. That sounds like something he said. Yes, well, he showed some of us that journal he keeps. It's filled with lots of things, including quotes of wisdom and ninja tips, said Kurenai, thus eliminating the secret of the tatty book Naruto carried. Rin remained silent, a frown on her face. What happened? Nothing, answered Ren. It's obvious, Ren. So what happened? I don't want to talk about it. Stop. Shino's voice cut through the area. We have reached the border. Our patrol would begin here. What do you mean would, Shino-sensei? Asked Konohamaru. We are being watched. A pleasure to meet Konoha Shinobi, yeah, said a voice. And the Reaper's kid, yeah? A strange-looking bird flew down to the group. Riding it was a strange blonde man who looked more female than male. Deidara, S-Class missing Nin of IWA and Akatsuki member, stated Shino. He is far too powerful. We must escape. Is Ren back yet? Asked Naruto. Tsunade lowered her head, unsure of how to break the news to Naruto. Eventually, she decided to come out with it. Naruto, Ren's team was captured by the Akatsuki. We are unaware whether they live or know Naruto. A wave of raw anger suddenly flooded the room. Akatsuki! Your time is up! Hissed Naruto, before disappearing in a burst of black mist and reappearing at the village gates. Naruto whistled, but anyone could detect malice from it. A black horse appeared in the distance, galloping to Naruto's side. Fell steed! We are in need of haste. The horse reared, and Naruto mounted it. A second later, they were already moving fast enough to not be seen from Konoha. The Akatsuki had Rin. They would pay with their lives. Chapter 6, The Calm Before the Storm, Part 2. Ah, Naruto. Deidara smiled. I've been expecting you, yeah? Deidara. Naruto hissed from behind his bone mask. I've been always hoping to finish the job after you tried to capture Gaara. And now you hurt Ren firstly. Where is Ren? Deidara shuddered slightly, staring at the Reaper on his steed. Oh, she's in a safe place, yeah, he grinned. If you do not tell me where she is, I will kill you, Deidara. I will end you like every one of your precious art. If you were to kill me, you wouldn't find Ren, yeah, smirked Deidara. My shadows and my blood are linked with Ren. I will find her, no matter where she is. But your time is over. The horse galloped away, and Naruto lifted the great scythe of his back. The two squared off, both readying themselves for battle. This was a true duel. Fight to the death. No mercy. Deidara made the first move, his exploding clay birds rushing towards Naruto. Prepare for this work of art, yeah, shouted Deidara, a maniacal grin shining on his face. Please. Naruto only scoffed in face of Deidara's tactics, and his shadows formed a dome around him. However, Naruto missed Deidara whisper to himself, fallen into my trap, yeah. The clay birds hit the dome and exploded, tearing apart the dome, much to Naruto's shock, who escaped the explosion with a rapid sprint. What the hell? Naruto was stunned about the effects of the clay birds. There's no way they can have that power. Surprised, Reaper? Deidara smiled again. There's more where that came from, yeah. Deidara launched the clay, and Naruto sent his shadows to form demonic-like arms and grab the clay objects. The explosion once again destroyed the shadows, and Naruto had to quickly avoid it again. How are you doing that? Naruto growled from between his teeth. Why don't you get hit and see what it is? Shouted Deidara, launching a barrage of exploding clay animals. Naruto began to try to use his blood, but it was still blown aside, although that was probably because his blood was weaker than his shadows. And Deidara was continuously creating more clay, so he was having some trouble dealing with all. Eventually, it proved too much for Naruto, sending him through the forest, his body going through several trees. What? His arm was burning in agony. There was only one time he ever felt this much pain, and that was holy water, said Naruto angrily, climbing to his feet. You mixed the clay with holy water. Like it? Laughed Deidara. This is payback for my arm, except I'll pay it back with interest. Go to hell, fool. Despite his audacity, Naruto knew Deidara was a powerful opponent, and with his upgraded clay, he had a great advantage over Naruto. Naruto also couldn't QB chakra, his blood wasn't strong enough, he couldn't get into close-quarter combat, he still suffered from the Reaper trying to seize control, and he couldn't use the Dread Eyes. The Dread Eyes. One gaze into those eyes, and the enemy truly sees death their death. No genjutsu nor killer intent involved. And how would any feel, seeing their own death, and knowing they were powerless? And Naruto foolishly wasted his last use against Danzo, a man who could have easily have been killed without it. Naruto was simply stalling, waiting for his blood to locate Rin and her team. But he still needed time. That would be his solution. Hey, Reaper! Look at this! To Naruto's shock, Deidara had been creating whilst he was pondering. This is the C2 dragon. Now this ends it! Shouted Deidara, as the dragon began firing clay from its tail. Naruto constantly dodged, occasionally wounding himself, feeling the burning pain of the holy water. Suddenly he was struck with a sudden idea and catapulted himself into the air using a tree. A swirling blue ball of chakra appeared in his hand. Rasengan! Naruto screamed as he plunged the ball into the face of the dragon, and quickly falling before it exploded. Deidara also leapt off, and the dragon blew up in the sky, tearing up at least 20 trees. The two now stood on the tops of the trees, facing off. Deidara, gaze upon death, spoke Naruto, as he removed an hourglass from his cloak. An hourglass? I'm going to send a team to help Naruto, decided Tsunade. He can handle it himself, said Jiraiya confidently. What if Akatsuki discovered his weakness? Asked Tsunade. Jiraiya abruptly paled. Damn. Good to see you agree, said Tsunade triumphantly. I'm sending Kakashi, Sasuke, Ebisu, Genma. And Kisame can go if he wants to. Speaking of which, where is Kisame? Said Jiraiya. Not just any hourglass, said Naruto. I rarely reveal this, Deidara. Feel privileged before you die. Deidara ignored the comment and narrowed his eyes. So what does it do? My, you're curious, aren't you? Have I said before I look into people's souls? With this, I can measure your crimes, and as such see the evil, or at least, the evil choices you made in your heart. The hourglass suddenly glowed, before a great deal of the upper part emptied into the lower. You have committed many crimes against the innocent, said Naruto. The hourglass glowed again, and suddenly Naruto glowed as well. This is how I kill great armies and never tire. By knowing the crimes you made against humanity, my duty rises and I can re-energize myself. A great power that replenishes me with your darkness. Naruto sprinted forward, and made a great slash with the sickle, which Deidara narrowly avoided, by flying up into the air. This is why Shino detected the truth of my chakra, for the Reaper is not just evil, he is an avenger to the innocent, shouted Naruto, as shadows carried him into the air in a rather Gaara-like manner. Then the avenger will die, shrieked Deidara, flinging clay randomly, destroying the tower of darkness Naruto stood on, but he simply leapt up. Screw this Uzumaki! Deidara roared in fury. I don't give a damn whether I live or not, as long as you die, you bastard! Now witness the true power of my art. Prepare for my ultimate art. Deidara unsealed another mouth on his chest, and began to feed it clay. Naruto swiftly concluded that staying would be a very bad idea, and he began to run. You're not going anywhere! Shouted Deidara, as he chased after him, still close enough. Deidara started getting ready to explode, and Naruto leapt from the trees, reaching the forest floor, noticing the animals escape, the birds fly, the rats burrowing into holes. Naruto began to dig with the aid of a Rasengan and the scythe, taking good care to bury himself in the ground. He then, whilst underground, sent up shadows and blood to overlap the covered hole. Naruto closed his eyes, and suddenly his shadows had located Ren, who was far enough to not be caught in the explosion. Ren, if I die, will you forgive me now? Deidara detonated. What the hell was that? Asked Genma, noticing the forest not too far ahead of him explode. Deidara, murmured Sasuke. He had once fought the crazy man, but had escaped before the crazy fool got anywhere close to that. Shadow, pointed Jiraiya, noticing shadows lead in two directions. He must still be alive, said Ebisu. One must lead to the captured team, the other to Naruto, said Kakashi. Jiraiya, Genma, that one. Me and Ebisu go this way. Sasuke, see if you can find any scraps of Deidara, or any other Akatsuki members in the area. Move! And the five body flickered away. They're unconscious, not dead, said Kakashi, after checking a few pulses. See if you can wake them, or heal them. Ebisu entered the cave, and opened a medicine pouch, finding some soldier and food pills. Sasuke finished scouting the plains. He had found a few things, like tufts of blonde hair, shreds of a black cloak, yet what surprised him was that there was no sign of the Akatsuki ring, even though it would be hard to find. Not too far away, a man who looked like a Venus flytrap picked up a ring and faded away. Accursed fool, both sides of his face said. He went underground, murmured Jiraiya, but it didn't completely shield him. Genma, get your ass over here. What? Said Genma, withdrawing the samban from his mouth. Help me dig him out. Have you got a shovel? Asked Genma. We're not going to do much with our hands. Damn, said Jiraiya. Don't worry then, he said as he formed a Rasengan, this shouldn't harm him. And he smashed the Rasengan into the ground. Shino and Kurenai had woken, but the younger members of the team hadn't, so they were carrying them. Sasuke appeared in front of them. No sign of any others. Jiraiya and Genma appeared, supporting a battered Naruto. Found him. How's Arin? Gasped Naruto, trying to lift himself up. She's fine, said Kakashi. Unconscious, but nothing life-threatening or permanent. Jiraiya, if you would? Jiraiya grumbled slightly, bit his thumb, and summoned Gamabunta. Eh? Jiraiya, you old pervert, what the hell do you want? Shouted the obstinate toad. Can't you see Naruto and Ren are injured? shouted back the summoner. Gamabunta was silent for a moment, before arguing. Of course I can't, they're on my head. Just take us back to Konoha, said Jiraiya. The toad grumbled a bit more, before hopping off. Tsunade walked through the wards. To the shock of Jiraiya, Naruto had recovered by the time Gamabunta arrived, but the others had not. They were in no means life-threatening situations, or in comas, just unconscious or asleep. Naruto had rarely left Ren's side, not moving, not eating. Tsunade entered the room, and laid her hand on Naruto's shoulder. Aren't you going to eat or anything? She asked. He hurt Ren, was all he said. Naruto, and Tsunade lowered herself slightly so Naruto was looking at her face. Ren is fine, she's just asleep. She's not going to die. But she might have died, but she's fine. Thanks to you? Don't blame yourself, Tsunade inwardly prayed for her words to have some effect on Naruto. But if she had died, then what would I have done? Asked Naruto, perhaps more to himself than anyone else. Naruto, I understand what it's like to lose someone, perhaps more than most people. But Rin means the world to me, he answered. If she had died, I would have been destroyed. And then the Reaper would have freed himself, and then you and everyone else would be destroyed. How can I forgive myself? In failing Rin, her parents, Kaori, he trailed off, lowering his head slightly. Look, said Jiraiya, appearing through the window. There's more to it than that, isn't there? Tsunade inwardly wondered how long Jiraiya had been waiting there. The last thing she was with me, she was angry with me. I think she hated me, and then if she would have died. I told you it's just a phase. Jiraiya brushed away Naruto's concerns, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow at the incredible lack of Jiraiya's sensitivity. Oh yeah, exactly why you've never had a daughter, snapped Naruto, anger suddenly appearing in him. I think that's more to do with Jiraiya's incredible lack of sex appeal actually, said Tsunade. What? Shouted the aged man, outraged. I'll have you know that. Unnoticed to Tsunade and Jiraiya as they bickered, a smile appeared on Naruto's face. Pain watched over Konoha. But when he meant watch over, it meant he was observing. For the past days, he had been spying himself. He had gained a great deal of knowledge on the Reaper, a force that was not even ninja, perhaps explaining why he, or perhaps Kakuzu, had not heard of him. The plan was simple: capture Naruto at his moment of weakness, take him and store him in stasis. Find the Eight Tails, seal him away. Then seal away Kyuubi. The odds were that the Reaper would seize control, and even someone as powerful as Pain did not enjoy the idea of it. He finished his analysis. It was now time to leave. The Konoha Nin took our lands. They destroyed our ancestors' lives, and forced our people to live off rocks, shouted the Tsuchikage, rousing his troops. Murderers! Roared a Jounin. We will not spare a single one. Burn down the Leaf Village! The ninja cheered again, stamping their feet and clashing their weapons. To war! They are coming, said Jiraiya slowly, opening his eyes. Itachi, tell Tsunade to withdraw the spies and patrol squads. We need as much manpower as possible. And tell her to muster as many ninjas she can find. Itachi gave a slight nod, before disappearing into thin air. The sky darkens, muttered Naruto, standing on the Sandame's stone head. The crows gather, eager for fresh corpses. And the forests are yet to be stained with blood, and may they or us be all burned by the flame of war that shall consume all, as long as evil and lust for power and material lurks in men's hearts. He suddenly flipped out his journal, and wrote that statement down. And the Reaper rides again, eager for battle and death, to crush the Guardian, and all his foes. His voice dwindled away, and the only sound was scribbling as he continued to write. Shall we all be lost? Chapter 7: Burning of the Leaves. Naruto stood on the walls, awaiting the enemy. His mind went over the conversation he had had to discuss battle plans. Our information has determined that IWA will attack from our northern sector. Akatsuki will fall upon us from the southern sector. We cannot split the ninja evenly, said Jiraiya, glancing over the map of Konohagakure on the main table. Akatsuki have at least 8 strong fighters, said Naruto. The Akatsuki rings were stolen from Itachi and Kisame when they converted, so I know not of replacements. I do not know of the leader's identity, or his assistant, who I know to be female, but the others include Sasori, Kakuzu, Haiden, Zetsu, and a most peculiar character named Tobi. It is unlikely that they will have many support ninja, said Tsunade. What of Wave? Asked Kakashi. They are our ally, will they send reinforcements? Unlikely, said Hayashi, whom Naruto had forgotten was there. Their forces are too small, and they are not ready. The scouts and messengers have said Wave can only afford to send a few battalions, and they will not arrive before the battle begins, said Jiraiya. They are traveling fast but must arrive ready to fight. A wise general once said the rule is, not to besiege the walled cities if it can possibly be avoided, quoted Naruto calmly. Yet there may have been treachery amongst some of the ninja. It is impossible to levy a siege so quickly. What of the numbers? Asked Asuma. How many IWA ninja are attacking? Ninja are flooding in like water, said Jiraiya. Their forces are massive. My very spies are shocked. They spent so much time in IWA and never spotted a thing out of place. What? Exclaimed Tsunade, alarmed. I heard their great forces were still depleted from their original power. Exactly what I heard, said Jiraiya. But there are so many ninja, my spies have been watching them go for some time, and more are still coming. This kind of army could rival their old ones, and yet the spies also said that plenty of ninja are still left guarding at Wagakure. Deception and fear is our only weapons against such foes, said Naruto. Oh? Said Kakashi, turning to the Reaper. You have a plan? Sai, gestured Naruto, and Sai brought forth a set of scrolls, and opened one, showing a map of Konoha, with little stick people guarding the walls. The first step is to keep a great deal of ninja concealed in the way of the walls, in the inner regions of the village, said Naruto, and Sai tapped the scroll, and most of the stick people moved away from the walls, hiding in buildings near the Hokage mountain. Wait a minute, interrupted Sakura. You're saying we should stop guarding the walls with our best strength? Naruto turned slightly to see the entire room gazing at him in surprise, save Sai and Itachi, the former already aware of Naruto's plan, and Itachi never seemed to be surprised by sighed slightly, before it turned into a slight cough. Sakura, the falling off the walls is inevitable. They outnumber us more than 5 to 1. It matters not how many we will kill, but with Akatsuki attacking from behind, the walls will eventually be breached. If the walls break early, they will become arrogant in their strength and as such, weaken themselves. Sakura nodded, and there were a few murmurs of agreement, and Naruto continued. The next step is to, when the walls break, make a false retreat, fleeing to the inner city. Sai tapped the scroll again, and the stick people on the walls ran to the mountain, while being chased by the IWA people. I have no doubt that Sasuke will foolishly decide to stand in front of his army. When that happens, we counterattack with all our might. Very well, said Tsunade. But who will fight Akatsuki, and who will fight the IWA nin? That Sasuke is a remarkably powerful person, from what I hear. There is no need for you to get involved, said Naruto. Itachi, Kisame, Jiraiya and myself should be sufficient to fight Akatsuki. I don't think that Itachi and Kisame should be involved, as they consider traitors to their former organization, answered Tsunade. Itachi was one of the strongest in the organization, and Kisame was his partner for a reason, said Naruto. And you? Said Kakashi. The Reaper will be strong enough to attempt to break out. How can you fight the Akatsuki? Naruto sat and thought. Then I leave the Akatsuki to you, as I will first fight IWA, but I will switch to fight Akatsuki. They should have arrived by now, said Sasuke, appearing behind them. What do you want? Asked Naruto tiredly. Sasuke was silent for a moment. Let's play a game. Whoever takes down more ninja wins. Naruto raised an eyebrow, before answering. Akatsuki members count as 5. Done. Sasuke started, but was cut off as the dark sky was lit up with a flaming meteor hurtling towards them. Since when did they have fire specialists? Screamed a Konoha ninja, gazing at the meteor. Shadows spurted upwards from the ground, forming a fist that gripped onto the flaming rock, but due to the power of the meteor jutsu, and the weakening of Naruto's power due to the Reaper, the meteor was about to break free. I can't hold it, he roared to his comrades. Move! The shadow slipped and the meteor veered off course, missing the gates, and smashing into the walls, leaving a great hole. The ninja who had not escaped in time were caught in the explosion, and fell to their deaths. And in the confusion of the meteor, the Konoha nin did not notice the IWA nin appear and sprint forth. It was Kakashi who noticed them first. IWA Elite! He shouted. Defend the wall, hurry! Naruto, who had been attempting to repair some of the wall with shadow, turned and gazed at the ninja. Hold your ground! He screamed. Do not let them into the village! A hail of projectiles came from the IWA force, and many of the Konoha ninja fell to the kunai and shuriken. But Konoha quickly recovered, firing back with their own projectiles and jutsu. A dark shape leapt through the sky from the great walls, and landed heavily in front of the oncoming IWA ninja. It was Naruto, and he revealed his right arm, a long chain wrapped around the bone-like armor, the end attached to his great sickle, the fell herald. The ninja approached him fast, and in his moments of weakness, he knew that they did have the power to defeat him, or more precisely, they could, if they all had the right skills and attacked him quickly. Fortunately for him, and unfortunately for the IWA ninja, they did not. Naruto unwound several loops of the chain, and swung the scythe over his head, before sending it forward, and it arched wickedly through the cold air. However, these were the sum of the elite forces, who have served at Sasuke through all the years since the founding of Iwakugure. They were not the useless cannon fodder Naruto encountered so many times, and he had forgotten that. The shinobi either ducked under or vaulted over the scythe and chain, those who performed the latter threw their kunai or larger weapons into the links, pinning the chain to the ground. Naruto struggled, but it appeared the ninja had either great strength, or had infused their weapons with chakra. There were at least 50 of the Iwa nin, and 50 katanas were raised, as they gleefully laughed as they anticipated gutting the so-called Reaper of Death. They have taken the bait. Now! Naruto roared, and almost instantly a volley of kunai flew over him, many embedding themselves into the unsuspecting Iwa nin who had expected that their other comrades had dealt with the resistance on the walls. Naruto pulled hard with his right arm, freeing his scythe, and he swung around, ending with his back to the ninja, and judging by the cries and gurgles behind him, his scythe had caused great pain. He then turned again, and made a vertical attack, the sickle swinging down, a dangerous move that left him wide open, but deadly. The sickle was on target, and the man simply froze and screamed, as the scythe curved through the air, before cutting vertically through his head, neck, and chest, before stopping as it cut past his groin, and the man fell into halves, further terrifying the Iwa nin. On the other side of the village, the Akatsuki had broken through already. Asuma fell back with a gurgle, blood spurting from his mouth, and Haiden and Kakuzu satisfied themselves with the job well done. Jash. Shut up, I need his head, said Kakuzu, before walking over to Asuma's lifeless body, a blade raised to sever the head. Suddenly Asuma grinned. Oh, bleeding hell you won't. His Jounin vest burst open, revealing several exploding tags. Several powerful exploding tags on the verge of blowing. With enough force to destroy all of Kakuzu's hearts. Kakuzu turned and started to run. You're not going anywhere, shouted Asuma, forcing his body to stand to pursue Kakuzu and Asuma. I'll see you in hell. The trench knives flew through the air, pinning Haiden and Kakuzu's Akatsuki cloaks to the ground. Asuma began to smoke his last cigarette, as he collapsed to the ground, even more blood spurting from the wounds inflicted by Haiden's Grim Reaper lookalike technique, as Haiden and Kakuzu broke free. You delicious bastard, he said to the cigarette, just before the tags exploded. 14, said Sasuke, with a slight smirk, as his katana dug itself into the Iwa nin's chest, and he kicked the body onto the earth. He whirled around, his eyes blazing with his Sharingan, and a kunai found its way from his hand and into a throat. 15. His bloodlust rose, and he charged another squadron, his fellow shinobi running behind him. Suddenly, the ground seemed to explode around him, and Iwa nin burst out of the earth. Sasuke, unsuspecting, was blasted off his feet by the flying debris. Of course they would use the earth to their advantage, then all was darkness. Duck! Shouted Shikamaru, pulling Chuji down with him. The Konoha ninja all fell to the ground, save one idiot who had to say where? Before he was impaled by flying Saban. Crap, cursed Kiba. How are they throwing so many at a time? Must be some kind of jutsu, said Shikamaru, before crawling out to shelter behind a wall. Fire back! The Konoha nin reached into their pouches and holsters, and threw out their own projectiles. The Saban volleys began to slow down, and spurned on with the lack of enemy weapons, they continued to fire. They're breaking through. Damn it! Cursed Shikamaru. Fall back! Retreat! He was cut off, as he was hit by a large shuriken, and he slumped to the ground. A little help over here, panted Tenten. Niji and Lee appeared next to her, the two using their taijutsu styles efficiently to defeat the surrounding foes. Niji! Eternal rival, I believe I have defeated more ninja than your lowly count, shouted Lee, sticking his fist up into the air. Tenten sighed. Lee, this isn't a game. Lee looked horrified. Tenten, there should always be fun in things. Otherwise it is a sign of losing your youth. You're aging. What? Said Tenten, before smacking Lee in the head. Don't ever comment on my age again. And thinking about it, I'm the same age as you. Niji turned to face the two. As much as I hate to interrupt, there are more ninja heading this way. He was cut off as Tenten and Lee ran past him. Well, and he were cut off again, by more Konoha ninja running to charge the Iwa ninja. Don't charge them, you imbeciles, they outnumber us. And that's my syrup capture field, grinned Izumo at the immobilized earth ninja. And this is my attack, shouted Kotetsu, as he smashed the skulls of the ninja with the large shell-like weapon he summoned. Hey, stop messing around, said Gima, his hand reaching into his Senban pouch, his eyes scanning their setting. And more earth ninja heading this way. Aoba, crows, said Rado, clad in a black ninja garb, and a black sword attached to his back. Yes, said Aoba, preparing his jutsu. Hold on, what's that? The four stared for a few seconds, as a gigantic earth dragon burst out of the ground and headed towards them. Move! Izumo screamed. A couple of Iwa nin ran through the streets after breaching the walls, but suddenly came to a stop. Where the hell did that silver-haired bastard get to? Shouted one. Quiet man, he might be listening. He might also be behind you, said the voice of Kakashi, and the two IWA nin began to turn, only to be impaled with kunai through the chest. Kakashi plucked out the kunai and wiped them on the dead ninja's clothes before he placed the weapons into a pouch. Well, there's two more, he remarked, before turning and sprinting forwards, back to lend his aid to the shinobi on the walls. Hey, if it isn't the kid, said a voice. Kakashi turned to see an IWA nin. Kid? He simply asked, his hand reaching to grab a kunai. Oh, don't you recognize me? It's been so many years, but it does get hard when you see an old war veteran. Don't you remember that old mission? Old Ms. and he remembered. The weapon, the rock slide, the kidnapping, the death. You were one of the IWA nin that was there that day. But you escaped. You Konoha nin are tougher than I thought, interrupted the IWA nin. I never thought you'd have it in you to abandon your teammate under a boulder and have the nerve to steal his eye. You, hissed Kakashi, anger threatening to take control of him. Firstly, I'd advise you get your facts straight. I was given the eye. Oh really? Or is that what you just told them? Laughed the IWA nin mockingly. I was given the eye and let me show you its power. Kakashi tugged up his headband, revealing the blood-red Sharingan eye, the tomos spinning around the pupil. Well, how come no one's appeared? Asked Kisame. Heck, I haven't seen a single IWA nin, let alone our old teammates. Itachi raised an eyebrow. I like to think of that as something to be thankful for. Kisame grumbled slightly. Can we just move? If they won't find us, let's find them. That won't be necessary, said a voice, before revealing himself to be Sasori of the Red Sands. Looks like we've already found you, said White Setsu. Kisame, with a grin, unwrapped Samahata, as Itachi's eyes changed into the Sharingan. Suddenly Hiriko, Sasori's puppet armor, leapt forth, his tail swinging to attack. I always thought you were dead, commented Jiraiya. But all this time I even hear in Amagekyo they call you God's angel. His face took on an expression of seriousness. Who or what is your leader? Is it one of the others? Konan was silent for a few seconds before replying, You don't need to know, sensei. Paper began fluttering around her, before forming wings on the back of her Akatsuki cloak. Jiraiya laughed. You really think you're an angel? Hilarious. Go with white clothes, and dye your hair brown, and you'll give Naruto a heart attack. Konan ignored the comment. I must kill you. That is the will of God. Eh? Was all Jiraiya could say, before shards of paper flew at him. As he prepared an oil jutsu, he privately wondered whether 100 paper cuts would actually kill him. At the walls, the Konoha shinobi, despite the outstanding prowess of some of the individuals, were overrun. The Tsuchikage had also launched his attack, surrounded with his elites, and death came to those who came near them. Retreat! Shouted a Konoha jounin. Retreat! Fall back! He was then cut off, as a barrage of shuriken flew into him. Retreat! The cry was taken up by many as they fled. Naruto cursed. The IWA nin had taken him and the village completely by surprise. The shinobi needed to be gathered where they could counterattack, but they were fleeing in all directions, no discipline or sense, letting their instincts and fear conquer their minds, and the Akatsuki still needed to be disposed of. Hold on for time. Yes, that was it. Naruto ran over several rooftops, until finding an area which could be held in defense, where the rooftops were too irregular and too high to attack from. To me! He shouted. Shinobi of Konoha, hold this passage. Many still ran, but more listened, and soon a large mass of ninja were behind Naruto, their weapons glinting, their faces hardened with weariness and battles. It was not long before the IWA shinobi came across them, their lust for the deaths of the foes eating at their minds, and they charged, howling, like no ninja should. Stay where you are, commanded Naruto, eyeing a few ninja who looked shaky. Prepare to counterattack. Volley! A rain of weapons flew past Naruto and the front ranks, halting or killing most of the first wave of attackers. But the second wave came even faster. Ready now! He roared, and the front rank leapt forward with katanas, and impaling several of the wave, but several of the Konoha nin were also cut down. An attacker cut through two Konoha ninja and leapt at Naruto, a bloody sword in hand. Naruto parried the blow, pushing the sword upwards before spinning with incredible speed, slashing across the shinobi's chest, a second spin and the scythe cut into his neck. He then whirled around, holding the sickle in two hands, stabbing one behind him. He then span to his right, smashing one who had been running past him, the flat side of the scythe smashing into the ninja's face. The fell herald was swung through the air again, and it gleefully cut through a neck, severing the head, and the body collapsed limply. Naruto turned, more slowly this time, his cloak fluttering in the air around him, and the chain and scythe flew forward, and killed yet another. The IWA ninja retreated a few meters, and Naruto quickly reformed the line, and pulled in his scythe. As the IWA nin ran forwards, their blades poised, and the Konoha could hold them, as the bearer of the Fell Herald stood alongside them, in a small area where numbers could mean naught. Uzumaki-sama! An ANBU member appeared behind him, a clear female voice, purple hair visible from behind her mask. The enemy are surrounding us. We must move out. Naruto quickly thought whether he should ask when he became Sama, but rejected the idea and nodded to the ninja. Very well. Pass on orders to rendezvous on the inner city rooftops. There is a large one not too far from here, and it is near the inner city. Hold that position. The purple-haired ANBU nodded, and moved to inform the other ninja. Move out. Naruto's voice rang out over the din and screams. What the unearthed nin backed away, after seeing his comrades drop to the ground by the strange creatures that this guy wielded. Behind you, said Shino simply, and his Kikai bugs swarmed up the man's legs, and covered his body, and they drained his chakra, but the thick layer of insects could not stop his tortured screams. Ah, so this is an Aburame, commented a voice behind him. Shino spun around to see a red-haired male, an IWA headband secured around his neck. You are? He asked, raising an eyebrow. The fire specialist of IWA. You may have noticed my meteor, grinned the fire specialist manically. I'm in the mood for roasted bugs. The next thing Shino knew was a gigantic fireball hurtling towards him, burning everything around it. When can we expect reinforcements? Asked Naruto, his eyes taking in the sight of another wave of IWA shinobi. We have lost contact with several other squads, said Yamato solemnly. Several are missing in action, including several key members of teams, Shino, Kakashi, Shikamaru and Asuma. More are missing, most expected to be dead. Naruto gazed at the great army of Iwagakure. How did they overcome our defenses so easily? There was a traitor, said Sai. But he's dead. Oh? Asked Naruto. If you would then, exhibit his neatly severed head on a pike. Uzumaki-sama, said Yugao. What should we do now? What we are best at doing, replied Naruto, before his cloak billowed back, and he loosened the chain again. He spoke to himself this time though. Fell Herald. I submit more of my will. For this sacrifice, bestow me with your power. Fortunately, the three ANBU had already moved, as a darkened cloud appeared around Naruto, before vanishing after a few seconds. Thou will shalt be done, Naruto said in an unfamiliar voice, before reverting to his usual tone. ANBU, lead the counterattack. We must buy more time for the rest of the troops. And after receiving slight nods from the ANBU, Naruto sprinted forward, his shadow and side skills suddenly increased, his fatigue gone. He tore and he slashed, and wherever he went, screams and fear and death followed. Slaughterer, they cursed him. Monster. Demon. Devil. Yet they did not use the correct word. The Reaper. Truly, terrible, yet magnificent, a god to his allies, and the devil to his enemies. Finally, after grueling battles of attrition, the IWA nin safely retreated while Naruto, his great cloak stained red with blood, stood triumphantly on the battlefield, Fell Herald in his hand, hewn flesh, shredded skin and splintered bones littered around him. It was then he realized what his foolishness had cost him. The Akatsuki must have broken through Konoha's southern defenses by now. The Tsuchikage laughed loud, as Konoha ninja fled from him. What is this? This is the famed will of fire Konoha are so proud of? Not a single ninja with any power, and neither the famed Reaper or the Godame challenge me? Are they busy? Are they scared? Are they dead? He laughed again, and some of his subordinates laughed with him. A lone long-haired blonde ninja fell in front of the approaching Kage, a senbon embedded in his leg. Inoichi! Shouted a voice, and suddenly a large Akimichi appeared next to him. Ah, Inoichi and Chuza, of Yamanaka and Akimichi clans respectively, said the Tsuchikage. Perhaps you can provide me with a light workout? The two rose, furious at the insult. Behind them, earth molded into large spikes and flew at them. Guy suddenly found himself on the ground, panting and heaving, already exhausting his body from the use of the gates. Guy, said Kurenai, her face showing clear concern. Here, said Ebisu, rummaging through his pouch, until finding a few pills, and tossing them over. Guy caught them with seemingly little effort before he tossed them into his mouth. The taste was bad, but the pain began to dull. That could not have hurt me anyway, he suddenly announced, jumping into the air. Not even the gates can hold back the youthfulness of Mado Guy. Ebisu cleared his throat. Guy, we should be fine. Of course. Guy removed his leg weights, and sped ahead of the two. Damn, grumbled Ebisu, before chasing after Guy. Naruto sprinted over the rooftops, already covering a great deal of ground. He had surrendered willingly part of him to the Reaper, and had thus speeded up the process, despite the power benefits he had received. The southern walls were much clearer now. Yes, he should arrive soon, if not late. Occasionally he swooped down to the ground, his hand swinging the sickle down, slashing or slicing any IWA shinobi who had ventured there. Ren had been evacuated, and was currently in the safe areas located at the Hokage mountain. Despite she was a chunin, and remarkably talented, Naruto's reluctance at her fighting, not to mention her young age, had meant her evacuation. Holy, started Konohamaru, his fellow chunin behind him, all gazing at the incredible size of the IWA army. The amount that were dead barely seemed to make much difference. Hanabi finished her scans with the Byakugan. Going forwards is suicidal. There are hundreds of them. Retreating to the inner city is our only possible option. I agree, said Udon. Let's move, now. I agree as well, said Moegi. Oh come on, we've only fought 2 waves, complained Konohamaru, waving the giant transformed staff of the ape summon Enma. And we remain the only ones alive in our battalion after those 2 battles, commented Hanabi. Konohamaru sighed. Fine. We'll go to the inner city. Can we fight? Asked Rin, her young voice pleading. No, Anko snapped. We're protecting the civilians. But if the enemy don't know about this place, then there's no point in protecting the civilians, protested Ren, her voice rising with Anko. Listen, little girl, you have orders, and you'll follow them, retorted Anko. Ren lowered her head in shame, not noticing Anko's expression softened slightly, and she sighed. Look, there's no shame in guarding the villagers, she said. Heck, even I'd like to be out there. But you got to follow orders. That's not why, said Rin. He's going to die, and he doesn't even care. That's his choice, said another voice behind her, and Irika approached. Naruto knows what he's doing. He does care about dying, he wants to always protect you. He just doesn't know what he can do to ensure his survival. So he'll die? Irika suddenly smiled. Naruto may have changed, but he still is brilliant when thinking up plans on the spot. I assure you, I know that he'll live. At least I hope you will. Shizen crashed to the ground, shuriken, certainly poisoned, in her shoulder. She instantly plucked them out, her expert hands already drawing out the poison. However, the thrower had already arrived. A pity to kill someone who can draw out my poison, said the attacker, drawing a katana. But life is life, and death is death. Such is the way of the shinobi. Shizen silently awaited the cold steel that would pierce through her throat or chest, ending her life. She couldn't see a person she knew in sight, no one who would help or be there in her final moments. Am I going to die alone? She suddenly pondered. The blade ripped through her torso, and she knew no more. Tsunade faced off against her opponent, her golden brown eyes gazing steelly at the Akatsuki member. Damn! She cursed. She should be aiding her village, not fighting some accursed fool with a bad taste in masks. Tobi's a good boy, go dame. That irritated her more than anything. Of all the Akatsuki members, why the one that acted like a 12-year-old Naruto? Die! She cursed, sprinting forward, reaching Tobi, and her punch hit him firmly in the chest, sending him flying back over the rooftops, landing with a crash into a higher one. Tsunade smirked. Taking a blow like that to the chest should have done considerable damage to his ribs, and Tsunade's eyes widened with shock as Tobi stood, appearing to be unharmed, and then she noticed that he was wearing his hood now. That was hardly polite, go dame Hokage, said Tobi, now much more harshly and formally. That was without a doubt powerful. But have you reached the point where you could possibly match your grandfather, the Shodaime? Even now I recall our battle as we clashed at that valley on the border of the land of rice fields. Are you not aware of the statues that they modeled in our likenesses, the finest of the fighters, Sharingan against the Mokuton? Of course, it is I who yet remains alive, despite the humiliating defeat I suffered at the Shodaime's hands. What? Tsunade stood motionless, her head whirling, not believing what she heard. Perhaps it would be best if I was to introduce myself, go dame. Uchiha Madara, at your service. Now prepare yourself for your last battle. In the eye hole of the mask, a 3-tomio Sharingan eye suddenly glowed. New en. As I say, finally finish. By the way, where it says I bet none of you saw that coming in the old en, it means I bet none of you saw all those people getting battered up. Old en. I bet none of you saw that coming. Anyway, to the important stuff. Firstly, about this story. No, it's not going to be abandoned. I'm going to finish writing it, spoilers now, rewrite the previous chapters, and then start on the sequel, as it'll end after this arc, spoilers end. And as I previously pointed out, no pairings in this arc. For the 2 main characters of the story, I'll chuck on either Itachi, Jiraiya or Tsunade, as well as Naruto. I also intend to change the genre, as well, it isn't an adventure. The summary and title may also be altered. Other random things. Naruto makes references to a wise general, and quotes him. The wise general is in fact Sun Tzu, and the quote from his treatise, The Art of War. You should read it. Did they all die? Some died, some didn't. Spoilers. The majority didn't. Spoilers end. The meeting Jiraiya had with Conan was rather canon, but hey, there's very little clues to their views towards each other currently. The rest probably won't be. How many chapters left? I'll average it at, no spoilers 5 probably? Spoilers end. Things to look forward to. Naruto vs. Haiden, Kaori, Pin, Reaper. Note, these fights will not happen at the same time. That's harsh if it was. Tsunade vs. Tobi. There are more things, but that'll reveal even more spoilers. Pairings are getting more important as spoilers. The sequel will have a short time skip, and well, you'd think at their age they'd at least start dating. Spoilers end. Oh, and "see you in hell," mentioned by Asuma, is one of the greatest quotes ever. I use it regularly. I mean, those are the greatest words to use as you valiantly sacrifice yourself, which is something I'd never do. I'd only sacrifice myself if there was no hope for life, and even then, it would be for valiance or whatever. It would just be because I'd like to take them all with me. Oh yes, I know no Iwanin escaped from that incident with Obito getting crushed by a boulder. I just needed something to fill this chapter. And spoilers, Rin isn't going to just sit out of the entire battle. As the Leaf are losing so many ninja, it's only a matter of time before they receive reinforcements. Make Kakashi's power. I was given the eye, said Kakashi. But let me show you a greater power. His hand opened his weapon's pouch, and suddenly a light shone from it. What the started the Iwanin? Behold the power of Icha, screamed Kakashi, holding the green book out to the heavens, sunlight shining out of its very ink. Idiot, scoffed the Iwanin. I too possess a sacred book, he roared, pulling out his own, a red one. So, a duel is in order, said Kakashi, and the light shining from the green book formed a green beam. You cannot defeat my powers, said the Iwanin, as the light from his book formed a red beam. The two jumped at each other, holding their books open, as the beams clashed with each other, as they bitterly fought in a blatant Star Wars rip-off. Tell me, said Kakashi, how many of the sacred commandments of doing things with women that would get you condemned to hell by really religious people have you completed? The Iwanin looked horribly embarrassed, before saying, none. Kakashi was speechless, and paled horribly. You disgrace the very name of Ika, you virgin. I bet you have completed none either. Fool. I have completed all of them. That is why everyone wonders why I have no plans for the future, because I have done everything the books say to do to a woman, screamed Kakashi, and the Iwanin was shocked to find out he was in the presence of a master. As a disgrace, you shall pay. He pointed the beam at the Iwanin's crotch. In the immortal words of Dark Helmet, say goodbye to your two best friends, and I don't mean your pals in the Winnebago. The beam blasted forwards, and the Iwanin suddenly found out he had no balls. And of course, as decreed by a sacred commandment on how to live a sex-filled life, the price of being stupid enough to lose your balls means immediate seppuku. End. What if Konoha begs Naruto for forgiveness? Council member, and thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.